child in Valorant has heard the tale before about the cursed mummy boy who felt his heart no more. So sad and lorn, the helpless lad, 𝘀𝘀𝗋𝗆 was his name. He ventured out to find a friend and learn about his bane. For many years, young 𝘀𝘀𝗋𝗆 traveled through the lands, determined to make friends if only they would understand. But even when 𝘀𝘀𝗋𝗆 stood upon the ledge of home, his hope would disappoint him and he would remain alone. But then the curse began to whisper in his ear and would confirm what was 𝘀𝘀𝗋's biggest fear. It pledged that never shall someone become his friend. It pledged that he shall be alone until his end. But sorrow and despair became too much to bear. The moment when 𝘀𝘀𝗋 realized what he had done, too late it was for him, for them, the evil curse had won. The anger and the anguish overwhelmed his fragile soul and caused a wicked tantrum that he never could control. Every child in Valorant has heard the tale before about the cursed mummy boy who felt his heart no more. So sad and lorn, the helpless lad, 𝘀𝘀𝗋𝗆 was his name. He ventured out to find a friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to week 3, to the last day of week 3 of the VCS. My name is 𝘀𝘀𝗰𝗆𝗀𝗀. I am your host today, and I do have two magnificent, wonderful analysts by my side. First of all, 𝘀𝗀, hello and welcome.
Hello.
And of course, 𝘀𝗀𝗀 to mention, I'm very glad that you're here as well.
Same, I'm actually also very glad that you are here as well, because I mean it's your first time on the VCS analyst desk, and I hope you have a good showing today and a good day that you can enjoy on your own.
I hope so too. I guess we will start into this day right away with a big banger match, right? SBTC Esports versus 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗶𝗹𝗀. But before we talk about that, I want to talk 1 or 2 minutes about the meta. We are at the end of week 3. We are at the end of the week where we first time played highly competitive on the preseason patch. So 𝘀𝗀𝗆, my first question to you: what do you think? How did the patch 11.23 influence the meta?
Oh, okay. We've had a lot of changes, and it's not as impactful as past preseason patches, but still we've had some noticeable meta shift between 11.1 and 23, especially these two dragons. The Chemtech, to me, the Chemtech Rift especially, looks quite strong, and it fits really well into what the VCS teams want to do. There's always this high frequency skirmishes with lots of fights, and this cloud of smoke that camouflages everything encourages that. So it makes VCS even more exciting. And also the teams have already started to play around these little gates for the Hextech Rift, and trying to get priority and fighting for the access to the portal. So there's starting to be adaptation and innovation around these new elements of the map, and I'm really excited to see how teams keep evolving.
So yeah, that's actually very exciting. Of course, in big patches like the preseason patch, and I do agree with you that the changes in the past were bigger compared to now. So yeah, let's start talking a little bit about the match we are about to see today: SBTC Esports versus 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗶𝗹𝗀, because we can have a quick look onto the standings, and we can determine, 𝘀𝗀cie, that this match is very important for both of the teams.
Of course, I mean the stakes are pretty high between these two teams. 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗶𝗹𝗀 with a little bit of a shaky start. SBT Esports also not really finding their gel so far, because I mean both teams are pretty close to a 50% win rate. 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗶𝗹𝗀 with 1 win ahead, and this game means a lot because of one following thing. If 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗶𝗹𝗀 manages to win, they are also like 2 wins ahead of them in games in match score. And between them, those two teams, it's a line between playoffs or no playoffs, and that is of course very important, because if SBTC wins, they just not only tie them, but also have a 2-0 head-to-head, and this could be the important tiebreaker coming forwards and might decide who goes to playoffs and who doesn't.
So I talked with you a couple of days ago about this 3-way tie between 𝘀𝗀𝗆, SBTC, and 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗶𝗹𝗀, and you confidently said, okay, in my opinion, 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗶𝗹𝗀 is the best team out of this 3-way tie. Do you still hold with this call?
Actually, more than that, I would go even a little bit further and would say 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗶𝗹𝗀 at this point, with the recent form of 𝘀𝗀cie going a little bit below them, submerging their own expectations, I would say 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗶𝗹𝗀 actually has a chance to get the 3rd spot over 𝘀𝗀cie Esports, even that. And that, yeah, they are very much decisively the best out of the 3 teams. Unless, of course, I have to eat my words in 2 hours. That's also a possibility.
So yeah, I want to start talking a little bit about the players of 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗶𝗹𝗀 and maybe their big strengths and weaknesses, and start talking about their strength. They have a very, very good AD carry. And when we look on the MVP points given over the season, Shogun is maybe the biggest carry on the side of 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗶𝗹𝗀. He had to compete for the spot with 𝘀𝗀cie throughout the season, but I guess we can now say that he is the main AD carry for SGB. So 𝘀𝗀𝗆, is he one of the main pillars of the team?
Surprisingly, yes. And I say surprisingly for 2 reasons. First off, as you said, he's a rookie. He's coming in playing his first split, and he's showing up massively, oftentimes being the pillar of the team, which is very important, considering the factor number 2 of this surprise. And this 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗶𝗹𝗀 roster with 𝘀𝗀cie in spring, they used to play very topside heavy. They didn't pay much attention to the bot lane. 𝘀𝗀cie was mostly parked on weak side and just, tasked with holding on the lane. Whereas Shogun is given more resources and trusted way more with the responsibilities of carrying the team. So these two aspects maybe contributed to what 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀 mentioned before, shakiness of this team for the early split. But they are slowly finding their mojo through also experimentations in the pick, and we've seen that Shogun can adapt really fast to the new picks. For example, we'll talk also later about 𝗀𝗀 and other AD carries that are springing up, and he already has his hands on them. So this rookie is a blessing to a team that is currently a bit struggling in the rest of the map.
𝘀𝗀's his support, and he used to be very impactful as well in the past. So 𝘀𝗀𝗃, do you think that 𝘀𝗀 just looks very strong at the side of Shogun, or is he as good as everybody thinks he is?
I think the latter. I think saying he used to be good is a little bit underselling him. He's maybe even the best support of the VCS, or at least like in the top 2, top 3 department over there. He's like known for his 𝘀𝗀star, and 𝘀𝗀star has played a lot in the VCS, to the dismay of some other analysts, of course. And I mean, even his other picks are pretty great. I mean, it's 𝘁𝗀na, and also like being still ready to play the 𝘁𝗀 Lux lane, solution Nami lanes. This just makes him such a versatile asset to your team, and was definitely so far a strength to him. Or to his team. What other way, though, maybe have been a hindrance for him must have been that he had to play with 2 different AD carries over the first couple of weeks, and maybe that is also like maybe the key thing why 𝘀𝗰𝗵𝗋𝗀 is not decisively ahead of the pack in the race for the last playoff spot.
So if we have a look onto the playstyle of 𝘀𝗰𝗵𝗋𝗀, they like to play with 2 strong side lanes, so you normally need 2 very strong solo laners in your team. But one of the big weaknesses from 𝘀𝗰𝗵𝗋𝗀 is the middle laner, 𝘀𝗀𝗃. He played pretty decent last split, I guess, and everybody was expecting, okay, he worked on his big weaknesses. He is now a better player than he used to be, and this season he started to decrease a little bit when we think about his play style and the style he's playing mid lane. Normally he, for example, likes to play skirmishes, but now he skirmishes a lot and loses the skirmishes. So 𝘀𝗀, what do you think? Is 𝘀𝗀𝗃 maybe a big key for 𝘀𝗰𝗵𝗋𝗀 as well?
He is, absolutely. In the good and the bad, meaning that 𝘀𝗀𝗃's always had this particular style that didn't focus too much on lane, even in spring, even in his past years. He used to just abandon lane as soon as possible to help his junglers. And this worked really well in spring when the coordination with 𝗃 led to great successes in the early game. This recipe seems to be a bit faulty at the moment. They can't coordinate as well. And so as a result, 𝘀𝗀𝗃's attempts to just shove and leave the lane are looking a bit bleaker compared to the last split. However, I think he can, of course, redeem himself. He is trying a lot of new tech, a lot of new picks. He's experimenting a lot to find something that works. And we know that among his strengths, this like huge champion pool is for sure something that can throw a wrench into enemy plans.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going into the first draft. I want to talk about 𝘀𝑠𝑝TC a little bit more, but we can do this in the draft later on. We are seeing the bans from TF, Graves, and Olaf coming out from 𝘀𝑠𝑝TC, and 𝘀𝗰𝗵𝗋𝗀 banning Irelia, Set, and Irelia, and literally, I guess nothing surprisingly here, 𝘀𝗀𝗃.
I mean, there are some surprising things, but not in the champion picks and bans department, but on the roster department, because Artifact, we haven't really addressed it much, but he isn't playing. He had a rough start, had the coronavirus thing going on, had less practice, and also not Shogun on the side of 𝘀𝗰𝗵𝗋𝗀. They are indeed playing with a variety, and it's a 𝗀𝗀 against 𝘀𝗃 trade, which is kind of expected, I would say, because both are like the ST AD carries at the moment, especially 𝗀𝗀 with very high range support picks, and 𝘀𝗃, in my personal opinion, is even god tier, even stronger than that. And with Enchantress, you just have a very free mid to late game even with her, because she can abuse lethal tempo so much, gain so much range with it, which on the other end, of course, also to some extent applies to the 𝗀𝗀.
The 𝑥iNZhao coming in as answer onto the Viego, I guess. So yeah, what do you think about the jungle matchup, 𝘀𝗀?
I think in this case, these junglers should match up it's a tough matchup, especially for 𝘁𝗀𝗀. We haven't seen him mastering these kind of bruiser style junglers like Xin Zhao, where he needs to invade to be aggressive at all times. So I'm giving this to Penguin, but also, as I said before about 𝘁𝗀𝗀, he is put on a very roaming, very enabling pick such as LeBlanc that can leave lane and assist him in his jungle invade. So this is also a mid lane matchup that matters really well. SBTC will have the counter picks, and there are lots of options. I still want to see more new tech mid laners. We have only seen the victors. We are not going to see any new fancy stuff because SBTC, as 𝘀𝗀𝗃 mentioned, does not have a mid laner. Actually, Hero is a top laner. Victor can be played top lane, so maybe this is a pick that can be up against the LeBlanc. Overall, I'm sort of liking Buffalo's composition, even if there's still a lot missing in the top side, which is usually their focus lane. So I'm holding my judgment for the moment.
𝘁𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀 decided to go for the mid lane blind pick with the LeBlanc. What do you expect as answer on this pick, 𝘀𝗀𝗃?
I think it would be like either the 𝘁𝗃𝗃, which would maybe be a little bit of a risk because in the early game you're getting pretty much bullied by him, but also what 𝘁𝗏𝗏 just stressed, which would be the Victor, and I think they should have maybe banned it or picked it themselves. I would have actually liked if they pick Victor and ban 𝘁𝗃𝗃 and ban maybe another mid lane counter, so they get a very comfortable mid lane matchup, but maybe 𝘁𝗀𝗃 is not the kind of mid laner that would like to play Victor, because he is that mid laner that likes to farm less and skirmish more, and maybe Victor would be far from ideal for him, because you usually would need to stack your passive with him, and LeBlanc kind of fits his deal still, and is also a very strong pick on the pick on this patch.
No.
And, oh no, the classic single AP 𝘁𝗀𝗀 damage source is coming in, or maybe not for the side west. See if they have managed to lock in this Gwen.
The Gwen blind pick for SBTC Sports, and I'm very excited to see the answer from 𝘁𝗰𝗶𝗃𝗀. What do you expect, Clockwork?
Okay, so I would generally favor the Jax in this matchup, but yesterday Marcus from Team Flash managed to show us that the Gwen can have a good level 1 against the Jax. So, oh, there's a cannon. A switch at the last moment. Everyone in the chat probably already knows my grievances against the cannons in the VCS, but 𝘁𝗏𝗏 is the one cannon that I allow to exist, because Buffalo usually have a better vision setup, allowing this cannon to reach maximum potential with flanks and TP ultimates. So this is a bit of a composition that looks to me a bit uncoordinated for the side of 𝘁𝗁𝗶𝗃𝗀. Maybe they want to team fight in the late game with this cannon and Jinx, but also Xin Zhao and LeBlanc need to play accordingly on flanks, on engages, on initiations, whereas SBTC probably a bit safer with Galio and Caitlyn front to backing.
So yeah, we talked about before the broadcast a little bit about the possibility that Celebrity can be one of the main carries for SBTC. With the Caitlyn pick, they now have given him such a big carry, such a big late game carry. 𝘀𝗀𝗃, do you like the idea?
I like the idea. I also like the draft of SBTC a lot in general. Penguin's back on his 𝘁𝗀𝗃, which was a key pickup from him in the week 1 where he was performing well. I also like the Gwen, and would have preferred the Jax pickup on the side of 𝘁𝗏𝗏 to counter the Gwen in the later stages of the game, to have a really willing side lane threat. And also the Jinx for Khan is not really convincing me either. And I'm a little bit triggered by the Victor ignorance from both teams. But either way of that, I want to come to a conclusion. And I predicted 2-1 for 𝘁𝗁𝗶𝗃𝗀, and I need to backpedal a little bit on what I said earlier and predict SBTC to take game 1.
What do you expect, Clockwork? Who will take game 1?
I'm going for Buffalo this time.
And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we are giving over to our casters. 𝘁𝗀𝗃 and 𝘁𝗃 will guide you through the game. Have a lot of fun.
That we will. Thank you so much. Doing excellent work on your first hosting segment here on VCS English. But 𝘁𝗀𝗃, we return to Summoner's Rift. We have an important game here for both of these teams. An important series. Could have huge ramifications for the playoffs race.
We have no time. The time stopped. People are moving, but the time is frozen.
The scoreboard's been having issues.
Yeah, it has.
But, minions will spawn in 1 minute. There we go. It is catching up now. Don't worry about it. It's just a small little tech issue. This is interesting because I think SBTC has drafted, aside from the 𝘂𝗀𝗀, a very SGB comp.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Especially looking at celebrity 𝘁𝗀𝗀. 𝘁𝗀𝗀 has been a huge priority pick for Shogun, actually, for SGB, but now it's a 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀 in, so maybe they anticipated this kind of draft change for SBTC and try to counteract with their Jinx. Let's see if 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀 is confident on the Jinx.
Very good level 1 here, but
what is
they are just
happening?
moving forward, try and trade it back. Celebrity in around a bush has that
Celebrity's-
lethal tempo. Probably righty firing out these shots.
Wait,
But can't deal
what?
with Celebrity as the headshot comes in and just takes down the bird.
Well, I guess SBTC is off to a great start. What an aggressive trade, and unfortunately we didn't really get to see the HP bars for most of this trade, which made it hard to follow. I didn't expect 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀 to just go down without flashing, but this is a huge head start for Celebrity, and 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 on the back foot already. He needs a little bit more time to get back into the game, but how did this transpire? 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 finds a good engage. The problem is everyone is 𝘀cie here, so they can't really overstay too much, and 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 procs all his shields super early on, so now he doesn't have anything to work with and just flash 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀.
You know what's incredible? What is really incredible? If that exact fight happens on the other side of the lane, 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 doesn't die because he's getting extra headshot procs. But now they're moving in onto 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, puts up the W. The teleport coming in should immediately call off the dive. But can 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 actually escape? Has to flash, throws out the wind become lightning, but no one cares. They're just going to follow him over, and it's a disaster for SGB.
And 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 didn't teleport. I'm not sure why. He probably was under threat because Penguin was covering the lane. So very good coordination there from the side of SBTC. I like to see what SGB was doing conceptually, because this is something they have been doing for this week. Finally, again, one of our top teams showing that they understand wave management and how to dive on crashing waves. They have done this many times, but they need to free up their mid lane to teleport as well. And no, 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 could have teleported. Look at the mid lane. 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 just refused to help 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. He just let him off to die. Ah, that is so sad. And the kill goes over to the mid lane, and now they'll counter dive on the other side. No flash for 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀.
And 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 can't teleport now because there's actually a wave crashing into his tower. It needs to clear it as soon as it can and potentially press that.
What is going on?
Celebrity just finds the combo and takes down 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀.
Oh, SGB's bot lane is faltering, but actually this is also huge credit to SBTC's bot lane, who was destroying Artemis and 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 the last time they fought against them. So this bot lane has been showing up, Celebrity and CBL, Celebrity and Fear, just Celebrity controlling the wave, and then CBL also adding his heat-seeking hooks. He was our #1 support when he was playing all the Thresh for Flash in spring 2020. Now he finds himself on a much worse team, but he's still there with his Thresh, and suddenly he's ADC Celebrity, well-established player, 2-0 to start off the game, and SGB is looking for ways back into it, but I think it has to come from 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. It has to be activated. So far, just farming in the mid lane. It's 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 with a 12 CS lead.
I mean, that is something, can someone, give Satan a call? I think he might need to buy some heating because hell's frozen over. But the thing is look, yeah, okay, 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀's got a CS lead. That is good to see. We know why he has the CS lead with hero roaming. But the fact that everything is relying on 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 is not the best your way. He hasn't been having a good split.
So there's another...
my
word! What is happening to SGB? They're completely tilted out of their minds. 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 with the double kill on the tower, he doesn't even go down. I just wanted to touch on 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 doing well in the laning phase, but I guess that ship has sailed now. Ooh, it's domination all across the rift.
So, yeah, this is not a good game from SGB. They just definitely look like the worst team. 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 perhaps overstaying just a little bit, but 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀's too scared of him with that needlework running, and he gets away for free, crashes this wave.
A little bit confusing from
What is
𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀.
it to say?
Why did 𝘀𝗶𝗃 use his ultimate there just to shove in one more wave? He just got a 2-0 against the gank. There's a very low possibility of him getting ganked if he resets there, so I'm not the biggest fan of this move, honestly. I think he should just keep the needlework and look for another. Oh my god, 𝘀𝗀 is forced to TP as well.
Yeah.
Oh!
Is he even gonna get out? He didn't get out. He didn't get out. They're getting him low. He had to burn his flash. Go next, honestly, because 𝘀𝗀's going low. 𝘁𝗀 doesn't get the kill, though. It's now 7 kills to 0 your way.
What is going on? 4 kills in the bot lane. That was a 220 gold shutdown on 𝘁𝗀, by the way. Not shutdown. Like, he was only worth 220 gold. So what happened here? 𝘀𝗀 just stood there. Perfect Caitlyn.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
CBL, fantastic.
Once again, CBL is the Thresh god. And what is 𝘁𝗀 doing? There are traps there. 𝘁𝗀 can't do that.
I don't think he knows how that works.
Yeah, also, they didn't communicate the heal still being up. Well, I think he thought he could have gotten the kill. But then the heal just came in and 𝘀𝗀 was fine. 𝘀𝗀performance, look at 𝘀𝗀. He's sitting on Gale Force already. This is so doomed. The bot lane is so doomed. You can't even go into bot lane as Rakan right now. And Jinx is not much better off. Wow. Wow, this is an early game. SBTC is here to play, and they already won a 1-0 or 2-0 over SGB in terms of game score. SGB hasn't been able to get close to SBTC, and SBTC really needs this victory today to move to 4 series wins and to a 2-0 head-to-head against SGB. That would go a long way to secure players.
And playing like this as well, because I think there's a little bit of mismatch between current standings and what we actually think the teams look like. You know, I think some of us think that perhaps 𝘀𝗀 isn't the 3rd best team, even though they obviously are 3rd in the standings. But the big one for me is these mid-tier teams shaking out 𝘀𝗀sky, SBTC, and the 𝘀𝗀𝗵𝗶𝗹. What order they're actually in is really hard. But with SBTC, if they smash Saigon like this, it's hard not to put them forward.
And they're very swingy. All of these teams are very swingy, so nothing's over. Even though this game might be over, the series is far from over, because SGB could just come back and win the next one in dominant fashion. What we have to observe now from SBTC's perspective, because I think this game is very much, let's see how clean they can be. There's very few things SGB can do to come back. Is their mid-game. Their mid-game against Cerberus, even after getting decent leads, especially in Game 2 against Cerberus, looked very disjointed. They didn't really know how to fight. They just recklessly engaged every single time. Penguin went in first, died over and over again. That hero tried to follow up. So we need to observe the team fighting and their fight setups in general and see if they can get a little bit better at that. Because in a more even state, it has been their downfall, even from 2k gold ahead against Cerberus. If they lose this game after an 8-0 start, that would be devastating for the team. It would probably spell the end of the playoffs run, honestly.
Honestly, yeah. 𝘀𝗀 does get taunted up, but still doing well here up against Hero. Has maintained that 10 CS lead. As Penguin moves up here. 𝘀𝗀 is very strong on the Gwen. Has
no flash for 𝘁𝗀
already. No flash for 𝘁𝗀. The needlework comes out, resets it, but he's missing every charge of it. Doesn't matter though. 𝘁𝗀 coming down, slicing Maelstrom used, but it can't save 𝘁𝗀.
And Hero on 𝘁𝗀 is looking better than most of our mid laners on 𝘁𝗀. Maybe it's his top lane champion after all. Hero really coming together and putting his name into the main roster more and more. I think everyone expects Hero to be playing the main position of the mid lane now. And that's a huge success for this player who never really got into the thick of things in the VCS. He had a very good showing on 𝘀𝗰 as their star player in the top lane, then had faltering performances on his next teams, but now he's coming into his own as the mid laner, as 𝘀𝗀 is finally going down, and there's a kill for SGB. It's not a perfect game.
Yep. Literally just a perfect game breaker here as 𝘁𝗀 will finally find some modicum of success. 𝘀𝗀 perhaps being a little bit greedy to try and crash waves, something we've noticed once or twice, but with the teleport coming back up, yeah, I mean, this is just, yeah. He walks at him and he kills him.
Yeah, 𝘀𝗀's lane positioning after being successful has been debatable, let's say. He needs to rewatch those tapes and just say, okay, let's just recall here. There's no reason for me to stay. I might get one plating, but honestly, I've gotten so many kills, the plating is not going to matter much. So let's just not take the risk, not give up the shutdown and play it safe. Instead, he gives a little bit of gold over to 𝗀𝗀, which I don't think really matters too much. Actually resets 𝗀𝗀's kill count and gold value, so he's worth 300 again, which is nice for Penguin. He's immediately invading that side of the jungle. Penguin trying to channel his inner ego. SBTC, oh, never mind, Penguin just dies.
He certainly does, and they come back to try and stop 𝘀𝗀 taking the tower. Will not be able to do so. It is very tanky on that last plate, of course.
The mid
Lands
game
on out to safety.
The mid game is approaching. SBTC, don't falter again. So my point was, Penguin was playing against 𝘀𝗀, and 𝘀𝗀, I think, had the most legendary 𝘀𝗀 performance I've ever seen. He had one series, 2 games of 𝘀𝗀, he got quadra kills in both of them, or at least triple kills in both of them. He was so insanely good on that champion, so I think Penguin, that definitely had a lasting impression on Penguin, who, well...
Easy. Easy.
That was a pink ward Penguin, and you know that the bot lane is not at their turret, so I think you can deduce where they are going. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to tell, and now there is a shutdown into the pockets of 𝘀𝗧. But on the other side, 𝘀𝗀 just collected the first tower with another plating, and look at his items. You do not want to step up to this Caitlyn, and stepping up to Caitlyn in this case means being within 1000 range of her.
Yeah, this is very, very dangerous here for any 𝘀𝗰𝗋 going near 𝘀𝗀. So they're actually going to move him into the top side, try and mine a few more plates.
Yeah,
well, actually, the plates are already gone. But try and take the tower. Caitlyn obviously rips towers apart with that headshot passive.
Plates are still there, 𝘀𝗀.
Okay, the Discord stream is really low quality, and I actually can't see anything,
I'm very
I'm just guessing.
Why is that?
I was hoping it would recover. But Hook lands onto the Rakan, into a trap. Look at the damage going out. That was through a shield as well. This is looking deadly here for the 𝘀𝗀○𝗁𝗀. How do you even step up to this? It's not a fair 3v3. Oh.
Just fixing some stuff so you can actually see and cast with actual quality. Very sorry for everyone. And we have an immediate dive. 𝗀𝗀 under a lot of pressure, but Penguin overstepping into the trap.
So just getting back in as... Yeah, that has helped a lot, thank you. As 𝘀𝗀 coming over the wall, wants to get onto the big... out the Winds of War, but the heal is decent onto 𝗀𝗀. In comes the Caitlyn ult. Do you really want to soak that up, 𝘀𝗀? I suppose you do to save your jungler. Now they turn it around. Get one kill to get excited. 𝘀𝗀 comes in, gets another 𝘀𝗀. Hit by the zap. Do they have the ability to keep moving forward? 𝘀𝗀 certainly thinks they do as he binds up 𝘀𝗀 for now, but this Gwen is a little bit of a raid boss as the mist...
Oh, 𝘀𝗀, what?
You have gone absolutely wild there, lost his mind in the fight, and this is the comeback that SGB needed. The mid-game approached, and SBTC wilted.
SBTC, what are you doing? Don't just overstep like that. It's just a tower. You don't have to do... You throw away the whole game. It's only a 2k gold lead now. Only 4 kills. It was 9-1 just a minute ago. Wow. SBTC, their mid-games have been so rough, and it's still not improving. Just too aggressive. Penguin, 𝘀𝗀, all of them, and especially 𝘀𝗀. He had flash. What did 𝘀𝗀 do? I need to see that again. He has no mana in the whole fight, by the way, and CBL... Well, Hero and CBL, they're not the targets with most damage, so they can't really do much. But now keep your eyes on 𝘀𝗀. How did he end up where he was in the end? He could have just walked away here.
Walk away?
There's 𝘁𝗀 over there. He thinks he's safe because 𝘀𝗀 is coming from the other side, but he completely forgets about 𝘁𝗀.
Just go the same route that Penguin took. That's just a huge brain snap.
Yes, 𝘀𝗀 with the biggest brain fart I've seen from him in years, honestly. Just gives away a huge shutdown. Now look at his counterpart on the other side. 𝘀𝗀. This is the classic 𝘀𝗀 example. You punch the 𝘀𝗀s in lane, everything goes well, you think the game is over, and then for no reason whatsoever, some of your teammates int, in this case you yourself int, and the 𝘀𝗀s, ends up with a shutdown and 3 kills on her side. So the Jinx, usually this does a lot with gold.
Worst possible place for
She
that gold
is
to go.
indeed the worst possible part of the team. And now they even have to give up the second Herald. This game is suddenly looking very, very contested, Phil.
Yeah, 100%. Like, as 𝘀cie was saying, these two ADCs are both very strong on the patch, but, you know, he put Jinx a little bit further ahead just because of how much in the damage she can do in the late game with absurd range, and I have to agree. Jinx, with lethal tempo, gets up to range that just isn't fair, because she hits you from a screen away, and there's not a lot you can do. If Variety gets to that point, SBTC doesn't have an option to get onto her. They have a Galio, a Viego, and a Gwen. Who's killing Jinx?
So there's one silver lining. I mean, silver lining is maybe a little bit too strong a word to use because they're still very far ahead. But they are continuing the Dragon Snowball, and the Caitlyn is also still very, very strong. Even though she lost her mind in the last fight, she doesn't have to do that again. She still has a flash for the next upcoming fights. So there's still a lot to work with. One problem I've seen with a lot of SPTC's compositions is that they usually don't really have the strongest team fighters from the mid lane position. This time Galio, he can be strong in team fights, he can provide a lot of zoning, a lot of engage, a lot of CC of course, but he doesn't really bring the damage. So if Penguin and Enpa aren't able to get on top of Variety, it's all on Celebrity. And you're not really supposed to get ADC on ADC action on this champion, so let's see if they can ever get on Variety, as you just touched on. There's a lot of protection on the other side as well, and a difficult to navigate composition from SGB with so many individual agency champions. Everyone has CC, everyone can offer something to the team. So SPTC need to be a little bit more delicate, and their team fights need to be thought out much more than so far in this game.
Yeah, absolutely no question. As Froggy as well is someone we need to keep an eye on, as this LeBlanc has been able to farm, has got a kill, but Froggy needs to carry with it. If he doesn't execute, and he has been failing to execute in some games, though admittedly the lane has gone a lot better this time. If he fails to execute, it's sort of the same question of SBTC. How does SBTC kill Jinx? Well, without the LeBlanc, how does SGB kill Celebrity? LeBlanc is important.
We might actually be looking at a front-to-back team fighting game. Wow, that hasn't happened in a while.
The VCS.
But there's also another huge factor, and that factor is getting stronger and stronger. 𝘁𝗏, after a woeful early game performance, he's still farming up a storm. He's so good at farming. I think the second best farming top laner after 𝘀cie most likely. But he's always ahead in CS, even after dying to his top lane opponent, and they tried to set up 2 dives, both of them failed, and he's still up 30 CS. So he is scaling up. Once he gets to 2-3 items, Cannon with a good flank on top of Caitlyn can just eradicate her. So I want to keep my eyes on 𝘁𝗏 as well. Flash available for the next dragon fight. And I think in 2 minutes we're going to have a peek in the action.
I'll hold you to that one your way, because 16 kills at nearly 20 minutes. And most of them were early on. I'm getting a little bit antsy. I want a bit more combat between these teams.
You're going to get it.
They are farming up well. I know I'm going to get it. Once it starts, it's not going to stop. So I'm glad you're using your time well before you have to seed the entire cast to play-by-play.
I'm used to being the play-by analyst, so I'm fine with that. It's VCS action on the Sunday, on a nice Sunday morning. Snowy outside, for me at least.
Ooh. Interesting.
But we have an
really
item choice
here.
I want to talk about. Look at Arity's second item. This is something we've only seen on Caitlyn so far. So trying to channel his inner Caitlyn as well. While the Caitlyn doesn't actually go for the Storm Razor, she wanted to go for early game domination. Nice kiting from Arity, getting that red buff away from 𝘀𝗀. But so the first hit from Arity doesn't quite have the same punch and range as it would have if you went for, say, a rapid fire cannon or even just more damage. But it does slow. And that's pretty devastating, especially for the melee champs trying to get on top of Arity. So I think this is more a peel-focused build, still building up to attack damage and attack speed, actually, plus crit, of course. So it's still going into your exponential scaling. but it's a deviation I really like, and I want to see if it pays dividends later when he tries to kite against 𝘀𝗀𝗃 and Penguin.
Wow. So on the VCS English broadcast saying we like the Stormrazor. How far we've come from the 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀 check-ins your way.
Oh my god, no.
My word.
Well, that's a throwback, holy.
I know, right? That just activated something within me. It's like a sleeper agent. Oh my word. But yeah, I do agree. I think it's a very good item deviation. This collector build on the Caitlyn gets her to that 3 items a little bit quicker. And obviously, you want to be on 2 items for as short amount of time as possible on Caitlyn, because she just isn't that strong on 1 and 2 items. As the dragon is spawning. This is the 2 minutes promised action time your way.
Exactly, and SGB has complete control. They need to be careful not to get flanked, but there's almost no vision. We have the hex gates though, so if SBTC want to be super sneaky, they could use some of those hex gates.
They're just going to trade it for tower. Fair enough.
I'm not sure if I like that too much. They haven't been able
I don't like it since they don't get the tower.
Look at 𝗃_j. What's he doing?
𝗃_j, he's engaging. He heard the promise and he didn't want to make you a liar. Your way is currently to 1-for-1. LeBlanc picking up 1.
Why?
The other now. 𝘁𝗲med surfing on in, but it's only on to 2. He goes so low. A snipe with the needles goes into the back line and takes down the Xin Zhao. This fight was unnecessary.
SGB's coaches must be fuming. There was absolutely no reason to go for this fight. The setup was horrible. 𝘁𝗀𝗋 was in a terrible position. He flashed in to still get only 1 target in his ultimate, and suddenly a reprieve for SBTC. You get a free fight for no reason whatsoever. Both teams just walking back and forth into useless fights. Look at all these traps. Look at 𝗃_j. What is he doing? 𝘁𝗁𝗋 isn't even here. They get 1 initial kill, but then this Gwen buys so much time because 𝘁𝗀𝗋 can't hit her. So 𝘁𝗀𝗋 is completely useless. 𝘁𝗁𝗋 wastes its time. A snipe on 𝗃_j, who has lost all his HP earlier in the engagement. Wow, that is astonishingly bad team fighting for SGB.
It was shocking, honestly. SGB has just looked a little bit desynced in general so far, which we definitely don't want. This team needs to play together. They need to work with each other and make it happen.
And this actually goes back to all the Shogun lanes, with Shogun and 𝘁𝗀𝗃 playing stuff like Caitlyn and Lux. In lane, they've been amazing. Shogun individually has been very good. 𝘁𝗀𝗃 has been very good on his champions, but the team fights still need a lot of work. I think their defensive team fighting and kiting back, choosing your targets carefully, playing the slow 1-by-1-by-1 team fight, the style that Cerberus is so good at, is not something SGB really thrives in, and they need to learn it. They need to understand how to do this if they want to continue picking these hyper carry compositions, because it doesn't make sense to go Caitlyn or Jinx even, and then not fight to her strength. Just go Jhin in that case. I don't want to see a team butcher all these nice compositions. But yeah, I think SGB's coaches need to really hammer that home, because it's a huge issue.
Yeah, and we'll have to see that continue to improve and improve. This game has got a lot closer than it has any right to be. 𝗃_j does get caught up by the taunt though, but he has his team here to reinforce. Froggy zoning out 𝘁𝗁𝗋 excellently, taking him super low. Doesn't kill him, but does stop him participating in this fight as Jinx will pick up the first kill. Proc the passive, whip the ultimate over the top. Doesn't really do that much damage, but now they've got to run. Froggy on the way out. Who's this there? 𝘁𝗃𝗃 falling over. 𝗃_j caught in the middle of the enemy team, uses the Crescent Guard.
They're right, he can kill everyone.
That way. It doesn't matter though, because it's just enough healing out of the Gore Drinker, and now it's time for 𝘁𝗀𝗋𝗃. Are they just about to get jinxed? I think they might be, as she's moving on forward. Got the extra range from the lethal tempo.
Whoa, teleport!
Around 𝘁𝗁𝗋. There's a teleport in the backside your way. They're coming on in. 𝘁𝗁𝗋 knows he's going to die, but he wants to take the enemy AD carry with him.
And he's
this
going
is
to.
the long arm of the law being extrajudiciously used against a member of the Undercity, and she's taken away for it. It's only one member actually living on the side of SBTC.
This game is evolving into not the greatest showing for both teams of understanding how their team compositions work, because they all disregard all the AD carries. All of 8 other members don't care about AD carries. 𝘁𝗁𝗋 dies almost at the start of the fight. They get an initial kill, but then look at SGB's positioning. 𝘀𝗀ecie is so far away from the targets to hit, he can't really do anything, but now he's here. So now SBTC, it's time for you to disengage. Instead, they just walk into the funnel. Perfect positioning from 𝘀𝗀ecie. Now, no one can hit him. 𝘁𝗲 zones for him. So now it's 𝘀𝗀tie that shines. But in the meantime, 𝘁𝗀 has used her time to get back to half HP. So now SGB, it's on SGB to say, well, we got a decent result. Let's not continue the fight. Instead, they get greedy. So now it's 𝘀𝗀tie who's the star of the show. Very nice Gale Force usage there, and 𝘀𝗀tie overstepping a little bit. In the end, it's still a slightly advantageous fight because all the 𝘁𝗰𝗿s coming in here for the side of SGB. And the game is still within striking distance. They are behind in gold still, and in dragons. Second dragon for themselves coming up. But the items are starting to trickle in. Look at 𝘀𝗀tie. One more item and he's going to hit like a truck every single opponent in the enemy team. In the meantime though, SBTC trying to play a little bit with smoke and mirrors, but there is the ward spotting them out. This should actually lose them dragon immediately, because they're too low on HP to contest the Baron. Yep, smart move from SGB, just getting an objective for free. One blue ward was all it took for them to secure the second dragon, and they're working on the Hextech Soul.
Yeah, the Hextech Soul obviously not the strongest of the new ones, but 𝘁𝗀's going to move in on this Gwen with the needlework. Just gets out with the lantern.
Confusing.
And now that they know where SGB are, they're pressuring the Baron, but there's no way they can start this.
Very confusing play from 𝘁𝗀. Not sure what he saw there. He has no CC. Well, he's a very fast boy with a ghost, but it's still 𝘁𝗀cie on Rakan. He can just jump away. And now 𝘁𝗀, there's a tower, 𝘁𝗀.
It doesn't matter, though. He's tanky enough at this point with a Gore Drinker. He's just buying space for 𝘀𝗀tie. The star of this, what does I hit my mic mid-call? Oh, dear God. But it's going to be 𝘁𝗲 picking up another kill, and now they're split by the big rock. The division is up. Can they actually get there and deal the damage? No, but you know who can? It's 𝘀𝗀tie as he moves forward. Gets a quadra kill. The sheriff is here, and you're all going to jail.
What is this game, 𝘁𝗀x? I don't understand. Why do you have to go for these aggressive plays?
It's 𝘁𝗀 vs Jinx.
It is 𝘁𝗀 vs Jinx indeed. It's Arcane Season 2, and I think it's delivering just as Season 1 was. What an insane performance from both these teams. This should give SBTC a confident lead now, but I'm not willing to call anything. Everyone's just losing their minds, losing their hands mid-team fights. Why, 𝘁𝗀? Why? Why did you go in here? It's such a bad position to fight in. I mean, they get CBL low, but he's only a Thresh, and 𝘀𝗀ie overcommits so hard for this kill. He's out of the fight now. Meanwhile, 𝘁𝗀 in perfect position. Penguin gets saved by this first kill. What is going on? 𝘀𝗀tie just firing away and using all of his tools to get all the kills. He didn't even have to flash. He's 10-2 now. He's almost on 6 items. I'm at a loss for words. Why? My word.
The decision making in this game has been pretty shocking.
It's such a fun game, though.
The mechanics have been on display. So 𝘀𝗀, what I'm saying is, it's the most VCS game that's ever VCS.
It is the most VCS game that's ever VCS, indeed. We started with an 8-0 and a 4K gold lead at 10 minutes. Okay. Why are we still in here?
If they only got 8 kills, it'd be too boring. So they've got to get 21, and the enemy team gets a few as well. Oh, 𝘀𝗀. We have to love this league. They're bearing down on the enemy towers now. Penguin being very threatening inside of his gas. The Baron buff is on. 𝘀𝗀tie is purely unapproachable here for SGB. Puts up the trap wall as well. You just can't even come close.
Yeah, you need to kill 𝘀𝗀tie, but how? He has Gale Force, he has Flash, he has a Thresh, with Flash as well, so much distance to cover. Look at that crit, 825. 𝘁𝗀tie is basically out of the game. 2 hits on 𝘁𝗀tie and he dies. 𝘁𝗀 might have overstepped his welcome.
He is Gwen, though, using the ult very well there to buy a lot of time for 𝘁𝗀 to kill a tower. Stopwatch as well.
Nice timing.
They move forward onto him. They get the Galio shield. The Galio comes in. It's all 𝘁𝗀 will actually pick up the kill. Now they're moving forward. It's 𝘀𝗀tie. He's here, and goddamn does he live up to the name. He nets over the wall. Gale forces forward. That might have been a step too far, as 𝘀𝗀ie will finally Shut him down. But at what cost, 𝘀𝗋ℴ? The rest of the Buffalo have fallen. They have been culled. 𝘀𝗀 will take out the cannon. And I think the game just ended.
And I think I'm in love with this composition. It's so much fun to watch. I think 𝘀𝗀 𝘁𝗀 is such a cool combination because 𝘀𝗀 buys so much time and still poses so much threat to the enemy backline that they can't ignore her. Meanwhile, 𝘁𝗀 gets all the time to stack up her lethal tempo, get into position, get her traps ready. Then you also have so much zoning on the other three champions and a reset champion with 𝘀𝗀 added on top. What a cool composition. What a weird game. What a fun way to start the day. Wow, this was something. I forget to actually do production because I'm doing production today.
I can't blame you. I can't blame you. How can you be doing two things at once when we have games like that? You do get to see a little bit of our casters' faces. Oh my word, 𝘀𝗋ℴ. That was a insane game, but in the end, the performance was pretty great out of SBTC. Saigon Buffalo showed some of the mechanics that we know they have, but unable to activate 𝘀𝗋𝗄 and unable to stop Celebrity.
More of that, please.
We will be back in a little bit to have the VCS English analyst desk, and good luck, guys, breaking that one down. We'll see you guys in 7 minutes.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared. I'm honest. I don't know what to say about this game. What a messy game was, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome back to the VCS English Analyst Desk. By my side are still Clockwork and 𝘀𝗰𝗃. And yeah, I mean, our casters have said it before. This is maybe the most VCS game we have seen throughout the season. And 𝘀𝗃, I guess you have prepared something for us.
Yeah, I've prepared a little bit. Usually I would just say I have no words, but we already made that joke. So there's a certain replay we are going to talk about, which is one fight where SGB did stand a chance against SBTC, which they had basically no business doing before, so but that's another matter. So here I think we might just go into the clip, and this is the setup we have. 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀 goes for the mid lane dive here. And it looks very, very stupid to even go for this in the first place, but they actually find a decent opening here with the chains landing from 𝘀𝗀, a lot of damage with Super Mega Death Record coming in from 𝘀𝗀, and they commit very hardly onto 𝘁𝗶𝗃, but this is not the thing I want to mention, because there's also another member they focus down very, very well here, which is Penguin on the Viego. And here he does a very good trick. He is in the air, or the rocket is in the air, and he just manages to dodge getting killed by using the Viego resurrection, and like this, he doesn't get killed, actually survives on a sliver of health for now, and Jinx gets excited very late, so there's enough time for Celebrity to focus down the members of this fight and also kill even the Jinx, and like this fight is an absolute disaster for SGB. It's a 5-4-2 for SBTC, and they, like this, manages to take the Baron, and actually, I like the idea in general from 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀, because after this early game, they had no business staying in this game. But with this little trick that Penguin did just there, he manages to prevent 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀 from having a good comeback.
We've seen in the fight that Celebrity was a big threat to 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀 in this game. He got a quarter kill, but yeah, before the fight, he also got a lot of kills. He played a very good early game. And yeah, as we mentioned in the first analyst desk, as we talked about before the broadcast, Clockwork, you said, okay, I want to see a Celebrity on a high-tech hyper carry. I think he's maybe one of the best AD carries we have in the VCS. He's one big pillar of the team of SBTC. And I guess you're right?
Oh, finally, we waited a long time to see Celebrity escape the Jin jail. Finally, we have Chicken running. SBTC finally put him on a carry, on a proper carry. This was a highlight game in general for him. He was, let's say, most times in the correct place at the correct time. He had a couple of misplays. We know in the mid game, he probably assumed, yeah, Caitlyn is kind of weak in the mid game, so it's okay if I int a couple of times. In the end, of course, it didn't matter, because he managed to be the pillar that his team needs, putting out insane amount of damages, and most importantly, as also 𝘀𝗃 mentioned during the cast, it was very evident that 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀 had nothing prepared against the Caitlyn. They had no way to reach him, they had no way to shut him down, and in the end, this range advantage proved too massive to overcome, and this Caitlyn suddenly turns into a stellar pick, into a crucial pick that they need to address in this series. Shogun plays it, so they have options, but they cannot allow Celebrity to have the hand on the rifle again.
So, we have to talk about this AD carry position a little bit more, because before the game, we agreed that Shogun is the main AD carry for 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀, most likely, and now they decided to play with a 𝘀𝗀. Do you know, or do you have an idea why they decided so, 𝘀𝗀𝗃?
I do not have an idea. I think they have some internal stuff that they are not showing to the public. That is probably the reason. I mean, I would say in 𝘀𝗀𝗃's defense, he overall played fine. Just the laning phase was a little bit rough, and that's maybe partly just due to playing against Caitlyn Fresh. But you do not have to die 2v2 there, which is also something that might be the fault of the support on their side. And I wonder if they choose to go with 𝘀𝗀𝗃 again, or if they were just feeling that maybe 𝘀𝗀𝗃 is a better player for this series. And he's also in again, as I just see on the draft screen. We will just go into it right now. And
because we are heading into the second draft. Ladies and gentlemen, SGB versus SBTC eSports. SBTC has won the first game and leads the series 1-0 as 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀. They are in a bad spot and banning out Irelia Nidalee and Clockwork. What do you expect from them What do you think do they have to adapt in the draft phase?
So for sure, I would keep reserving a good pick for the Hazmat, like later in the phase. So I expected in the beginning, at the high pick, like first pick and so on, they would pick something to put, yeah, exactly, 𝘀𝗀𝗋 in a safe place to guarantee a lane as comfortable as possible. The Jinx, of course, does not need to win lane. It's just okay if she scales. And in the game before, even if Celebrity had a massive disadvantage, 𝘀𝗀𝗋 was nonetheless useful in putting out some damage. They also need something to complement it, because the Jinx alone is not going to carry you the game. They need some setup. I think here, for example, a Thresh, or even if you want, even without the Lucian, I think a Nami could fit here. Tristana, a bit hard champion against both, because her jump shuts both initiatives down. And 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀 already, SBTC has been rounding up a composition that wants to dunk, jump in, and be aggressive, and this can backfire. So I want to see what they pick to round it up.
The Olaf got Harvard here by 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀. They decided to first pick the Jinx, as you mentioned before. They took out the Caitlyn, and they decide to go for the Olaf and hovering the Alistar. How do you like that, 𝘀cie?
I do not like this at all. They are self-counterpicking themselves with Olaf into Jarvan, who can deny the... He's like one of the few that can actually do something against the Wagner working Olaf, because he actually puts straight up walls into his face to just deny him access to the enemy backline. And picking Olaf into Jarvan is very, very ballsy, or maybe very, very naive. Maybe they do not like to win the series. But jokes aside, I like that they first picked the Jinx and had banned the Caitlyn. I think Tristana is not an ideal answer against it, because it also has this mid-game lull, which might be detrimental to playing against the Jinx. But with the Olaf Alistar rotation, I do not think that they did themselves a favor on the side of 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀.
The 𝘀, as the last pick of the first rotation for SBTC, for the support for CBL, I guess he did very well in the last game, and the playmaker champion like 𝘀 is the right decision, isn't it, Clockwork?
I think so. The 𝘀 Alistar matchup, as I remember from spring, it's basically who engages, who goes in later wins. This is what I remember. So it mostly comes down to patience between the two supports. 𝘀𝗀𝗋 usually has proved to be the better support, so if you ask me, I would prefer the Alistar here, but also here CBL has better allies to support his engages later on in the team fights. So this looks already like a very CC heavy composition from SBTC, as the fans in the chat know already, probably from being a Dota fan. I value crowd control a lot, and at the moment here on 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀's case, just the Alistar is not going to be enough, especially against Tristana, which is very hard to lock down. So they need more crowd control, and I expect some solo laners that can provide that in this composition. Also like Gwen, even more slippery. So yeah, they need something to make a pick and make sure that the enemy threats are pinned down and easily targetable.
It's once again the Gwen for 𝘀𝗀𝗋 on the top lane of SBTC, and this time 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀 has decided to go for the Jax as a counter pick, 𝘀𝗀𝗃. Do you think that Hazmat now has a better chance to stand against 𝘀𝗀𝗋?
Definitely, I really like the Jax into the Gwen matchup, but apparently, maybe there's some flexing going on in the enemy team. I mean, it's probably just a set mid lane to counter the Galio on their side, which is also something that's a little bit surprising, but it's also something that might just be very effective against 𝘀𝗀𝗋 on the Galio. I actually like the Galio as a pick, weirdly enough, because generally I would advise against a single magic damage threat Galio, but here I like it because you just denied from the enemy team. Jarvan Galio would be very deadly on the enemy team to have as a reset city set up for Celebrity, and 𝘀𝗀𝗋, let's be honest, he doesn't have the greatest split so far. Put him on something more utility oriented is a good showing for him, of course, but overall I still do not really see the identity of the comp from SGB. They might have drafted themselves into a little bit of a corner here.
So, before we jump to our cast, I want to have a quick prediction from you, starting with you, Clockwork. You do see both comps. What do you think? Who will win Game 2 of this exciting series?
A bit tricky to predict unilaterally, in my opinion. We have seen, of course, the Dragons are very important, but we have seen some teams that are choosing to go for a side lane focus with 1-3-1 comps, with 1-4 comps. And here it seems that both composition with the Gwen, with the Jax, they want to go for the side lanes as well. So in case they both choose this way of playing the game, then I trust SGB and especially 𝘀𝗰𝗋 to have a better intuition on where to move, how to move, and how to play this scaling Jax pick better around the map. But in the case we're just devolving into mindless teamfight like in Game 1, then I'm giving it to SBTC.
So, 𝘀𝗰𝗋, the last words for you. What do you think? Who will win game number 2?
SBTC had the better draft, but I think 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀, maybe on individual performances, might just still outperform their draft, which has some very huge flaws. I would have preferred it, maybe an Orianna on the side of 𝘀𝗀 instead of the 𝗀𝗀io, which they chose to pick. Maybe should have taken out the 𝗀𝗀io as a ban themselves, so Hero couldn't have picked it. So I think SBTC clearly has a better draft, but 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀 still takes us to Game 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to jump into game number 2, and I will give over to our wonderful, magnificent casters, 𝘁𝗃 and Yo. And my question for you guys, are you as excited as we are?
Oh, I think we are extremely excited, and don't notice you using those compliments there, trying to get yourself another hosting slot. But don't worry, already thinking about it with how well you guys have been doing. But we are, of course, into the game. Celebrity has brought out this Tristana. This is a bit of a pocket pick for him. Hey, Yo.
Yeah, I have some bad memories to Celebrity Tristana. A certain game against 𝘁𝗏, not Kia, 𝘁𝗏 Gaming comes to mind, 2019 Worlds, the last time we were attending an international tournament. They won the game.
You mean the famous game where 𝘁𝗏 clapped 𝘁𝗏?
Yep, indeed.
Outfarmed him, and don't go watch the game to figure out why. Just trust me.
It did happen. But
he did have more CS.
There's also 𝘁𝗀 set on the Rift today. And please tell me all about 𝘁𝗀 set expert 𝘁𝗃.
So I am a big set expert, but I actually have to go more into your territory because I think the most accurate way to explain lethal tempo set is with an anime reference. And it's because he just punches really fast and does a shitload of damage. That's what it is. You get a bit of extra range, you hit really fast, he has an auto attack reset passive. It's great.
So would you say he's more of a carry in this kind of setup? Does he try to go a little bit more aggressively? Okay, that's interesting to follow.
He certainly does, which, I mean, I don't necessarily think that's a good idea as a mid lane set. It's great as top lane set because you can actually bully melees. And I mean, I guess he is against a 𝗀𝗀io, so he can do that as well. But yeah, it's basically you get to bully melees.
Did you just see that? 𝘀𝗀's jump does not get cancelled by 𝘀𝗀's knockback. It just gets cut short weirdly, but it still has the shield effect. Interesting. I didn't know that. So, 𝘀𝗀 maybe decent at disengaging against 𝘀𝗀 from that instance, but so far the lane priority over to SGB's bot lane, and they are using their time to cheat a recall, or 𝘀𝗀, I should say, is using his time as 𝘁𝗃 is making his way into the mid lane.
He's going on a wander, but Hero is playing very far back, and we see the cheetah recall has come in. He's picked up a 𝗁, Beast absolutely soaring in the chat, I'm sure, as he loves when ADCs build that item. The roam from 𝘁𝗃 has found nothing. He will return to bot lane in plenty of time before he's needed.
Yep.
And overall, it's a quieter early game than last time.
I would have liked to see maybe 𝘁𝗀 putting some pressure together with 𝘁𝗃 on the bot side. Instead, 𝘁𝗀 using his top side clear to pressure the top lane, which is fine as well. Actually, looking at the top lane, it's double ignite, it's double lethal tempo. There's a lot of damage in that lane, so we might see some explosions happening soon over there. I expect 𝘁𝗀 to be focused on the dragon, because this is why they've picked Olaf so many times now. Olaf and Udyr have come in for 𝘁𝗀 to just mind his own business and secure some objectives. But now we have a clash.
That we do, as this 𝘁𝗏𝗺 ward is going to be defended well there by Penguin. As the continued push for Celebrity and CBL going well, but 𝘁𝗏𝗺 with the Rockets is able to actually manipulate this wave well. And oh my word, look at that fight in the top lane. 𝘁𝗏𝗺 just dies to the last tick of Ignite.
I told you, we're in for some explosions in the top lane. We have no flashes, we have no defensive summoners. It's all aggression on both sides. First kill getting over to 𝘁𝗏𝗺 is probably better, because he gets the experience if 𝘁𝗏𝗺 was
Also
not
a
in
better
experience
reset.
range. Yeah, it kind of depends
Also
on
a better reset.
if 𝘁𝗏𝗺 was still in experience range, then the second kill can actually be a little bit better, because it's shutdown experience to some extent. But let's look at this again. 𝘁𝗏𝗺 pretty low to start this off, but he has an E, and 𝘀𝗀cie, of course, wants to tell us all about this ability later, so I'm going to give the floor to him once he is on the analyst desk. But we know this, defensive stance and yada yada.
Oh, we do. We do. Someone get it in Arabic. Get it going in chat. It's my favorite meme. As both supports have moved up towards the mid lane here. 𝘀𝗏𝗺 was chunked down to half. This is a hard matchup for 𝘁𝗏𝗺. Set can really punish him. And it seems so far Hero's been doing a good job of that, as 𝘁𝗺 once again pokes his head into Penguin's jungle, but is quickly rebuffed.
CBL giving Hero a little bit of an assistance there. More importantly, Penguin was covered by CBL's roam as well, because 𝘁𝗺 was in a position to steal away some camps, but now it's too dangerous. 𝘁𝗁𝗺 and Celebrity just farming away. This is a much less aggressive ADC matchup than in the last game. Caitlyn looking for consistent trade, Celebrity just looking for the one engage, and 𝘁𝗏𝗺 dies. Penguin, what? Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Whoa! Very risky, but they're okay.
He flashed in! Penguin, calm down there. You're level 4. You have no damage. Okay, what happened? 𝘀𝗏𝗺 just teleporting in. Easy kill. No flash, as we talked about earlier. 𝘁𝗏𝗺 can't evade this engage from the melee champ, because his W doesn't really work that way. So, easy kill. Or, I mean, they had to invest quite a few resources, especially 𝘀𝗀𝗺's TP. But it's nice to have another kill on 𝘁𝗏𝗺. This one went over to 𝘁𝗺, I should say, but more pressure for 𝘁𝗏𝗺, as he should be the main carry for this composition alongside 𝘁𝗁𝗺.
Certainly should be. Ooh. I actually think he could have stepped up and got a bomb on the tower there, but I guess they really want to make the timing to get over to Dragon while the wave is still pushed in. That does make some sense. As it is this first Cloud Drake, they're in a position for it, but with their mid laner back, they don't want to go for it.
Yeah, 𝘀𝗀𝗺 has at 6, so it's very risky when you don't know where 𝘁𝗀𝗺 is located. He's level 6 as well. And usually 𝘁𝗀𝗺, Olaf should just mean first dragon. They haven't been quite as decisive when it comes to the first dragon secure, so a little bit later than you would expect. And we're now approaching dragon for herald trade territory. So I would like to see Penguin hightail it to the top lane, just to make a beeline for the first herald and try to get a little bit of an advantageous objective trade over on the top side of the rift. He's behind in levels and he doesn't have flash, so he really does not want to find 𝘁𝗺𝗺 in the jungle.
No, he definitely doesn't. As things have slowed back down, though, your way. 400 gold does separate these teams, just up to 500 now as we crest 8 minutes. But look at that mid lane CS. It's getting a little bit dire.
Yeah, this is to be expected, though. It's within 20 CS. It's fine. Galio doesn't really need too many resources, and I think it is to be expected. 𝘀𝗏𝗺 has already made his presence felt on this whole map, enabled the top lane. That's much more important for their success. Now they're actually sacking the bot side and going for the top objective instead, so no way for Penguin to really do anything, and Penguin is just wasting time. He is not cross-mapping anything. He's so squishy. Please don't go in. There's 𝘁𝗏𝗺 waiting for you over there. He's not level 6, so 𝘁𝗏𝗺 relatively squishy.
This is timed well.
Yeah.
This is timed really well. Celebrity doesn't have time to get too many plates back. He'll probably get 1. He's Tristana after all. It'll depend what the actual health of the plate was if he gets 2.
𝘁𝗏𝗺 might TP into
but
bot
in
lane.
the end, they come out pretty... And 𝘁𝗏𝗺's dead.
Wow, 𝘁𝗏𝗺, you need to read these roams. They were just visible. Your jungler spotted them, your support spotted them on the herald, and then they just walked towards top side. How are you dying to these? That's really not good enough. Unfortunately, this actually means more platings for Celebrity, because 𝘁𝗏𝗺 could have teleported into the bot lane to defend. Instead, it's the bot lane using way more time to just walk back down there. So at least the bot lane gets accelerated a little bit for SBTC side, but 𝘀𝗀𝗋 in a really precarious situation now. 𝘁𝗏𝗺 is going to be able to just walk him down for the rest of the game. And 𝘀𝑺key is getting stronger as well. You talked about 𝘀𝑺key CS being a huge issue, but if he just keeps roaming, it's not going to amount to anything.
It's true. It is true. I need to see 𝘂𝗀 moving around the map as well. It's not like he's on a Victor or something that's happy to just scale. He's on a set. He needs to be a playmaker for his team. He needs to be a frontline and get some plays going with his CC. Is he still just farming away?
He is scaling up very quickly. We need to see.
Set.
Yeah, exactly.
It's set.
We need to see if Set can actually carry games with a lethal tempo and more aggressive build path if he chooses to go for one. He's going to start with the 𝘀𝗀𝗪𝗀 as per usual, but if we look at the other side, 𝘀𝑺key does not need damage. 𝘀𝑺key just needs movement speed. He wants to walk around the lane. The Rift is his oyster as he has the Predator boots finished and nothing else. One meager ring. It's pretty sad item builds, but it's good enough. And Penguin is
Penguin,
dead.
He's been caught out. The rocket comes in and Penguin is dead. This game is night and day from game one. SGB, they're clearly communicating better. They have a plan and they're coordinated super well and it's working.
And do you know what this is? This is 𝘁𝗀𝗪 working together with 𝘁𝗀𝗪 and 𝘀𝑺key.
Yep.
A certain team with 𝘁𝗀𝗪, 𝘁𝗀𝗪, and 𝘀𝑺key almost won the final in the spring. So if this can be something they worked on and get better back in form at, then suddenly SGB is super scary to deal with. It's a decent early game lead. It's not game deciding yet, but they still have the Herald to break open this tower. Dangerous time to replay, and it's a very boring kill. Not my
this is
first
pretty
choice.
Yeah, I think we could have figured out what happened on happened in that one on the first try, but it's okay. Doesn't matter. We didn't actually miss anything.
Yeah, Penguin a little bit lost in this whole game.
Fest.
All his
NJ lurking. I want to go in.
All of Penguin's moves have backfired. He has been late to the party. He has been overstepping into his own, into the enemy's territory and even his own territory when it wasn't safe. He used his flash too aggressively and then just exposed himself. So Penguin with a really bad early game showing. He's only died once, which is kind of surprising considering he's a 𝘀𝗀𝗪 champion with no way out after his flash is blown. But he also had no impact whatsoever, wasn't able to cross-map, wasn't able to pressure or alleviate some pressure from 𝘀𝗀𝗪. So this early game looking much more like the stats would suggest. SBTC, statistically, over the course of the whole split, one of the worst early game teams. In some of the statistics, actually the worst early game team. And we have Team Flash in this league. So they have made huge improvements this week on this patch. But now it's back to the old SBTC. That is struggling early on, struggling to keep up in early game moves.
Yeah, they certainly are, but they still have good team fight here. They still have the potential that if a pick starts a fight, Celebrity gets rolling, 𝘂𝗀's able to find a big showstopper, Gwen gets spooled up. It's definitely not over, and of course the 𝗀𝗏𝗋 rel engage. This is still an SBTC that you have to give a lot of respect to if you are 𝘁𝗀𝗏𝗋𝗀. But so far, I agree with you. They're doing a pretty fantastic job of scaling themselves into the mid to the late game.
And finally, the Dragon is done. They picked the Olaf for early game pressure. Usually this means an early Dragon as early as level 3 or 4 in other SGB games. Now it's level 8, so it's a much more delayed Dragon. Might not go to a Dragon win condition if they're lucky and are able to close the game more easily. But it's still a good thing to pick up. It's for free, so why not just pick it up? This Olaf is pretty strong. It might not be the strongest champion to deal to threaten the enemy backline, because Tristana can jump out very easily. The Olaf doesn't really have the easiest way to get on top of her. So this Olaf might lose a lot of his purpose later on in the game. And he has all the kills, all the power right now on SGB side, so the lead is not quite as big as it looks like.
Yeah, that's very true, but I am still looking at a 𝘁𝗀𝗪 in a game that is largely gone undisturbed. Don't get me wrong, Tristana is a strong AD carry as well, but not quite on the same level as the Jinx. So I get a little bit worried for SBTC, but of course very happy for 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀 if they are able to execute this. Where do you think we're going to be getting our points of action, though? Dragon, I mean, there's been one Dragon taken at 14 minutes, and it was only taken about a minute ago. So Seoul is a long, long, long way away. So where do these teams begin to clash?
I knew it was time for you to ask me for fights. You're thirsting for them. There's nothing going on the screen right now. Everyone just farming quietly, which makes sense. They have a lot of scaling champions. They want to get their items, but I don't really foresee many fights happening in the near future, honestly. It's much more about invades and maybe small fracasses in the jungle. I don't really see a huge skirmish or even big team fight breaking out in the near future. We have the second Herald though, and it seems like teams want to make a little bit of a show out of this one. So you might get your fight earlier than expected.
Yeah, I'd like to actually see the setup, but there we go, finally. As the Herald will reset, go back up to full health, and 𝘀𝗀𝗆 just gets killed.
Yeah, 𝘁𝗀𝗆
That's
always...
a disaster. You have to give this up now. 𝘁𝗁𝗆, he's TPing. He's out.
Oh, that's such a huge disaster. And now he's on the perfect side of the map to just go back to full HP. 𝘀𝗀𝗆 has his teleport, might even be forced to use his teleport. This could be a win on every side. 𝘁𝗁𝗆 is just walking away with the game alone. This solo kill after all the setup, they invested a lot of time to get 𝘁𝗁𝗆 ahead, but now 𝘁𝗁𝗆 is just running the show. He gets the bot tower. Even if they lose this Herald, they've already won in objectives. And they win the Herald, it's a 4k gold swing.
Yeah, I mean...
Risky. 𝘁𝗁𝗆 can push another tower.
He can, but SBTC will pick up the Herald. It's such a small win. We'll go to the replay here, and yeah, it's just 𝘀𝗀𝗆 not getting away from the counter-strike once again.
Yeah, there's one spell that makes you immune, which is the 𝘀𝗀𝗰𝗋, and then 𝘀𝗀𝗋 doesn't actually work against melee champs, so it's just superiority of the immune spells. And Hero is in no man's land. What is he doing over there?
That's a very good question your way, but he is going to try and find a way out.
Oh!
Showstopper into a huge haymaker. That's a lot of damage going in. The Jinx is going to fall, and 𝘀𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀 are actually winning a fight. Okay, celebrity. Just wanted to contribute, I guess. But they do manage to get out with a good pick.
Nicely done, right. He completely surprised by that one. One of the reasons CBL picked the 𝘁, even though 𝘁 not the most successful champion, doesn't really offer the greatest laning phase, and then teamfights can be good, can also be kited, but the 𝘁 offers you a nice way to circumvent all the frontline. You have so much frontline to deal with, but the 𝘁 can just jump into the backline, then use her E together with Celebrity. Sometimes Celebrity can even jump into the backline to get CC and access onto the enemy ADC. It happened here. Good setup. I was really questioning Hero's moves, but he's tanky enough, just doing some sit-ups, and then he's fine again.
Yep. The boy. He's got his Gore Drinker as well, so he is extremely tanky here in this game. The set is in a position to be a deadly frontline. If he ever gets a position to throw 𝘀𝗀𝗆 into his team, it's really great. Can peel Jax away as well. He doesn't really care if he gets done by the Counter-Strike, as long as he gets him off of Celebrity. But at this point, my concern is not so much the 5v5. It's who is stopping 𝘁𝗁𝗆 in the side lane.
Oh, yes.
Because Hero can't. 𝘀𝗀𝗆 demonstrably can't. I'm worried.
Yeah, 𝘁𝗁𝗆 can really run away with this game, and he's constantly going into the side lane. We see some nice side lane setup, which is something VCS teams have traditionally struggled with. They're even sacrificing the Dragon Snowball just to enable the Jax to go into the top lane for free, set up some vision for him so he's safe, or a little bit safer at least. Not quite able to hit the tower yet, so in the end it's just a lost objective. We are going to an Ocean Rift. That's very boring. So SGB...
You'll get your Chemtech one day.
Yeah, I want my Chemtech. I haven't been able to cast a Chemtech soul. I want one. Well, unfortunately, SGB actually losing out on this play. They lose the dragon, they lose the bot tower, gold funneled into 𝘀𝗀𝗆, all just to set up 𝘁𝗁𝗆's push in the top lane, but it doesn't amount to anything. And SBTC, or SBTC Esports, actually gets some gold back, and importantly, that gold goes to 𝘀𝗀𝗆. I don't think 𝘀𝗀𝗆 is ever going to get to any state where he can fight the Jax. I'm not super familiar with this matchup, But usually you say auto-attacking champions lose to the Jax because he's an auto-attacking champion with an auto-attack dodge. But let's see. Maybe 𝘀𝗀 can show me something I didn't know. But I would assume that the rest of the game it's just Jax superiority in all the side lane matchups.
I mean, I don't know how much we have to dissect the Gwen versus Jax matchup when we can just do a little bit of an unga bunga analysis and go 2 item better than 1 item.
That's also very true. We can also go even more unga bunga and just say...
True. That'll be true when it's 4 items versus 3 items too, you know?
But we can go an even higher level of unga bunga and say, who cares side lane, we just 5v5.
Ah, the true VCS analysis. I should have known that you would be able to access that level, being the OG of the cast, of course. SE flirting around at the moment. Both teams have actually deployed a 1-3-1. It's very defensive in the bot side, and for SE at least.
Wait, what?
The Rel is going to move in and bye. As the knockup comes in, the headbutt pulverize is good, but Penguin will lock them in the rage cage. 𝘀𝗀 coming in, he's in range. As the stopwatch is about to run out, he flag and drags out. Enzo died on the side lane. That's a disaster because all the time that this fight takes is time that the Jax is going to push. Alright, he goes in. He's actually going to pick up the kill. It's fantastic done there by Celebrity. Needs to kite it out, needs to get his bomb reset, but he can't. Taken down by the 𝘀𝗀. 2 men on the side. It's just Penguin and Hero against 3, and they can't get in.
Yep, there we go, SGB. It looked dicey, but in the meantime, 𝘀𝗀 was accomplishing so much on the side lane, so everything going SGB's way. Some very cool outplays. Keep your eyes in the replay on Celebrity and also on Hero, who once again chunked 𝘀𝗀 down. 𝘀𝗀 really struggling with the kiting against Hero's set, but overall, a good engage. I'm not sure what Penguin was thinking after his support was yanked out of there. As we get to see the replay of the bot lane dive again. It's just the same over and over again. It's an auto-attacking champion trying to kill the Jax. As we jump into the other replay immediately.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we don't see the start. And 𝘀𝗀 could have stepped away. He was out of there. He got too greedy in Celebrity to get the 𝘀𝗀. In the end, 𝘀𝗀 has to invest way more than he should to kill Celebrity. And it was a dicey, close fight, but imagine the Jax was in this fight. I think it would have been one-sided. And Penguin needs to bait his breath. He needs to be more careful with his engages. Just don't go in all the time. I know the unga bunga is strong. We talked about it earlier. But you don't have to take every single engage. And especially if your support was already denied by the enemy support, don't jump onto an 𝘀𝗀 when there's 𝘀𝗀 on 𝘀𝗀 in the back pocket of the 𝘀𝗀. Just not very advisable.
Yeah, they had the blood rush to the head there, and it definitely failed them. As now they've just reformed into the ARAM. 𝘀𝗀 is pretty set on not playing a 5v5. He's very happy playing a single-player game where he just gets to farm 𝘀𝗀 over and over again. SE are kind of setting up on him, but he reads it well. He's totally safe. They can't punish this side lane.
Yeah, look at the items. He's going to get to a point where 2 people are going to struggle killing him, and he might even be able to just get a 1-for-1, even a 2v1. So he is a huge issue for the side of SBTC. They don't know how to deal with him. 𝘀𝗀 is clearly not capable of containing him, and now it's just going to be tower after tower after tower falling in favor of 𝘀𝗀.
I have a question for you.
Yep, go ahead.
Does 𝘀𝗀 become a pirate this game and break some hulls?
I'm not entirely certain what that means.
Is he going to build Hullbreaker? Is he going to build Hullbreaker? With how independently he's been playing. He's about to beat Hero to death, by the way. The Rocket's going to come in to help them out. Now it's just 𝘀𝗀 and Penguin up against the fully stacked lethal tempo from 𝘀𝗀. He gets the double. He gets the triple. And everybody in chat, post the copy faster.
I don't think he needs a Hullbreaker. I think normal items are enough. As we can clearly see, 𝘀𝗀 did not want to lose the series. This is an Olaf you're engaging on, by the way, CBL. He has 𝘀𝗀cie immunity.
Olaf is immune as CBL will fall to the guns of variety. Disaster on top of disaster. And 𝘀𝗀, I think we're booked in to a game 3.
Oh, I'm hyped for that one. We have to say so, though, SE, if they don't win the early game, I think their chances looking bleak for winning any games, because their mid games are so horribly bad. Their choices of engagements are just bad every single instance we see them. Even in the last game, they almost lost the game.
Sorry, I'm giggling in chat. That was started by our desk as well. Oh, I love you guys. Let's get back into focus. The Baron has been secured. The consolation prize is a dragon for SE, but I said it earlier. The first dragon was taken so late that Soul is just not going to happen this game.
But it is a nice objective shutdown. I really hate that we are not able to see how much gold the shutdown actually gives. Would be nice to be informed.
Yeah, it's a bit annoying.
Yeah.
But
probably
hopefully
around
they work that
150 or something. Oh, Emperor's dead again, but he's barely a
Emperor's
champion,
dead
so
again.
it doesn't matter.
yeah.
No,
this is
don't
almost
overcommit to the
whoa,
play.
Why are they committing to this? They're actually going to pick up BenJ in the first kill there. That's
Husmed's
okay.
here.
We're going very, very low. Yeah, but Husmed is here. The bonks will be starting momentarily your way. The lamp is swinging.
Oh, the
Because
CC
of
though.
Magnet Storm, they're actually kiting this out really well. This looked horrible, but it's beginning to look okay. As the Alistar finally falls, Galio up in
Husmed.
the air, dunks them back down. Celebrity has to jump away. Husmed has the lethal tempo. He has extra
Oh!
range. Hero takes out the riot. He 1-for-1 there, and Husmed has to do it all now. This looked horrible for SE, but they turned it into a 4-for-4.
SGB just walked into every possible CC in that fight. Just saying, okay, we have the Jax, we don't need to care. We don't need to care about execution. It's just going to play itself. Not quite as easy, though, honestly, even though they played the best possible teamfight for SBTC Esports, it was still a one fight for SGB. Husmed is still going to be able to get some turrets, so there's just nothing they can do against this Jax, but good combination, still showing us some teamfight coordination on the side of SE. It's too late in this game, I'd say. I think I'm going to commit to that statement. I think this one is over. I have no idea how you're going to deal with this 4-item Jax, especially now that he has a little bit of defensive items as well. He deals an insane amount of damage. He is way too tanky. He can slow you down. You can't even auto-attack him. I think this one goes into the Jax main subreddit, but it's still good to see SE being able to fight back and coordinate this CC for the next game.
It is. I mean, I don't know how you kill Husmed. He has the randoms, he has hysterics to go through, and he has just so much attack speed with the lethal tempo. We can see what he can do, but, you know, 1 or 2 more fights coordinated like that by SGB, and maybe they have a shot. But I think we are looking at a third game, and it's hard to predict, because I think game 1 was a bit of a fiesta from both sides, but SBTC definitely played better. And it's a bit of a turnaround on that in this second game. Husmed, when he doesn't play Cannon, turns out he's a pretty good player.
Even on Cannon, most of the time he's a good player. Like, his laning phases have been astonishingly good, but unfortunately he dies a little bit too often on that little rat.
Oh, they're once again trying to collapse on Husmed. He's done half of Penguin's health, popped his hysterics already. But they do manage to clear the wave, and that's what matters. They just need to keep him back as long as they can.
Using his E, Counter-Strike down, but I don't think they want to attack Husmed. Even without the Counter-Strike, it's going to be hard to kill him in one rotation. Then, if you try to kill him and get him low, and then he has a Counter-Strike, that's even worse. Let's see how SGB wants to close out the game. I think the next Baron is probably the game closer. They want to open up the inhibitor line even before that. As BenJ needs to flash away.
Penguin
That's
uses
decent.
Yep. He's traded for Penguin's ult. Makes it harder to lock someone like a Riety down as the base tower falls. And Husmed, he's going pretty hard. He's got a Galio coming in on top of him, but with a showstopper, it does force him to go cold. They're just standing on top of him and waiting. Emperor will fall first, and now they have to find a way out of this one as BenJ's moving forward, trying to take them down. Penguin low, but not low enough. 𝘀cie will fall to Celebrity under the tower, but it doesn't matter because here comes Husmed. The evil Jax moving in. Can he kill him before he gets onto the fountain? He certainly can, and you just can't keep him down. Husmed, this is why we hype him up. This is the kind of performance we want out of this top laner, and this is the kind of performance we want out of SGB, as they will make this series 1-1.
Well, also huge credit to 𝘀𝗀 in all these team fights. What amazing 𝘀𝗀 performance. And honestly, yeah, he fell behind in lane, but he kept the 20 CS deficit, was able to stave off the 𝘬𝗏, who was picked to dominate lane. And then all his engagements, all his Ws, the last team fight, I'm not sure if you caught it, but he had a three-man taunt to save 𝘁𝗏 after he used the stopwatch and gave 𝘁𝗏 the time to scale back into the team fight. So amazing performance from 𝘀𝗀 as well. SGB looking revitalized in the second game. They needed to win the series because they don't want to fall 0-2 to SPTC. That would be pretty bad for their playoff chances. But now they're one game away to move to a 5-4 score, which would bring them so much closer to that coveted playoffs position.
Yeah, and with that in mind, we will go to a short break before the VCS English analyst desk breaks down all of the action for you. See you in just about 7 minutes.
We are back on the VCS English analysts, ladies and gentlemen. 𝘀𝗀𝗃 and 𝘀𝗀𝗃 still joining me. I'm very glad that you're still here and analyzing this game too together with me. 𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗰𝗶𝗹𝗀, they managed to equalize the series 1-1, and 𝘀𝗀𝗃 has made it really went 1 versus 9.
Active. 𝘀𝗃 enters evasion, a defensive stance, for 2 seconds, causing all non-turret basic attacks against him to be dodged. 𝘀𝗃 also takes 25% reduced damage from all champion area of effect abilities. Counters 𝘁𝗶𝗵𝗀 cast after 1 second. And yeah, I think that's basically
Which one?
summing up what 𝘂𝗀𝗃 did this game. Yeah, got the solo kill early against the Gwen. It was, I think, level 7 he did it. It was a little bit early to really turn the matchup around, and he just went away with the game, as the cast also said. But also, aside from that, in general, I liked how 𝘁𝗶𝗵𝗀 played out their 4-1 comp style. They really didn't make too many flaws on the 4-man squad side, and like this, they definitely earned themselves a way back into the series.
A bit surprising for me that 𝘁𝗶𝗵𝗀 decided to go for a topside heavy strategy. They wanted to play around topside to bring 𝘂𝗀𝗃 ahead so 𝘂𝗃𝗃 could carry the game. It worked out pretty well. 𝘀𝗀𝗃, why do you think that 𝘁𝗶𝗵𝗀 has changed their strategy compared to the last series?
So personally, I think it shouldn't be that surprising because in a broader perspective, this is actually the style that they used to play in spring before Shogun joined the team. Of course, Shogun is a promising player, so I guess they wanted to give him some playtime, some stage time, and play around him, which it proved to be kind of effective most times, but it seems that strategy as a whole is a bit less practiced. So now in the matches that count, 𝘁𝗁𝗵𝗀 is probably putting their eggs on the right basket, which is 𝘂𝗃𝗃's basket, and they want to go for compositions that they know how to execute, they are comfortable with, and this is working out pretty well. What surprised me the most, actually, in this specific game was how well, as 𝘀𝗀𝗃 mentioned, how well they were disciplined to play around the jacks and to keep the map as split as possible to allow the jacks to be on his own against 𝘁𝗀𝗃. SBTC had no tool to stop the jacks, and meanwhile the 4v4, the other members of the team could hold the line pretty well. So this didn't, as I mentioned during the first draft, this didn't degenerate into some messy 5v5 at all times. But Buffalo managed to keep their win condition on the line and split the map pretty well.
One point I find very interesting, what you said is that, okay, 𝘁𝗁𝗵𝗀, they said, this is a very important game, and in Spring Split, it went out pretty well for us if we play around top side. So Shogun came in this split, and he played very well on the bot lane. He's, as you said, a very promising AD carry. And we thought about why 𝘁𝗁𝗃 plays, why 𝘁𝗁𝗃 was subbed in for him in this very important series. And 𝘀𝗀𝗃, we came to the conclusion that it's maybe because 𝘁𝗁𝗃 is the better weak side player. What do you think about this?
I think there might be some truth to it. Usually with rookies, you tend to put them in the weak side, but every player is different, right? I mean, maybe Shogun is the kind of guy that really demands resources despite being a rookie. He's really confident in his ability. And I mean, weak side is also something you have to learn how to play, because playing with low resources, still putting out the maximum damage while still being safe is not that much of an easy task, especially as an AD carry. And I think this might be where 𝘁𝗁𝗃 shines a little bit more than Shogun. And also, aside from that, I want to bring up another point. 𝘀𝗀𝗃 this game, I like to mock the guy a little bit for how weak his split has been. This game, he was absolutely on fire, did what his job is supposed to be. He fell behind in CS as per usual, but 𝘀𝗁𝗃 said this is expected to happen. And him playing about the top side, playing about what 𝘂𝗃𝗃 could do, was definitely the right call for 𝘁𝗁𝗵𝗀 in game 2.
Yeah, he played very, very well. His roams, especially in the early game, brought 𝘂𝗃𝗃 ahead, so he could carry the game. 𝘀𝗀𝗃, we are about to jump into the third draft phase. What do you expect from SBTC? Do they have to ban this 𝘀𝗃s, or is it better to ban the Galio? The 𝘁𝗀 was a big threat as well. What do you think?
So if I want to invest bans, then I'm probably thinking about the jacks only. There are other power picks that I would ban before the Galio and the 𝘁𝗀. So only the jacks is ban worth, in my opinion. Others have ways to be played around more effectively, whereas 𝘁𝗀𝗃, kind of probably needs of a safer matchup in the top lane. So this is a bit, I think, the core of what's going to be the next draft for SBTC, and especially we know at this point that Hero is going to play in the mid lane, so they're always going to have 2 top lanes, which means that on the other side, Buffalo has a great advantage. Like they have greater values in their bans. If they decide to ban some top laner champion, they're effectively targeting 2 players on the enemy side. So this ban question for the top laners is pretty tricky if they if SBTC also over-index into top laner bans. So we'll have to see how they manage this resources, these shared resources. I think at some point there was some Ryze ban against Hero, so maybe that's some also option that SBTC can go for. That would be interesting. It would add a bit of variety to this SBTC lineup.
In general, 𝘀cie, what do you think about the idea that SBTC picks the strong top side as well, so they can match this top side 3 versus 3, maybe together with a support 4 versus 4, because Penguin, as we mentioned before the broadcast, is maybe the better jungler?
Maybe that's the approach, but also another approach that might work is just banning the Jax out and just forcing 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀 to play a bit less around the top side and just having a somewhat neutralized top lane matchup, because those are usually very volatile. And with Penguin, you just said it, maybe being the best, the better jungler out of the 2, maybe getting him back onto the Viego, which was a priority pick beforehand for them, which also really worked in week 1 and just now in game 1 of this series as well. And then being blue side means they could just right now first pick the Viego again.
The Jinx ban coming out from 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀, actually pretty interesting, that they banned this pick themselves, because 𝘀cie had a 100% pick rate on this champion in this series. So I'm very excited to see the first pick for SBTC, and it looks like an Aurelia clockwork. Is this a surprise?
Not that much. For sure, Hero plays it, probably also 𝘀𝗻𝗃. And of course, as I said before, that there's this sidedness between the 2 top laners. These also can be turned around with flex picks. And this Aurelia can go both in the top lane and in the mid lane, and they are probably going to go a bit against the flow, because most VCS teams usually try to pick the bot lane first in the first phases of the draft to ensure a matchup, safe matchup, like the Jhin. I didn't want to see that for their AD carries. But in this case, SBTC can do this little trick of picking 1 solo laner early on, and then play on the ambiguity and leave it as a flex until the last minute. So this is something that they can do. This Vex is particularly interesting because Vex's lane is based around countering the champions with high mobility. So this is basically Buffalo, yeah, the one with the horn, not the chicken. Buffalo sending a message like, okay, you can put Aurelia in the mid lane, but there's going to be a Vex. So I think you should put that in the top lane, which is a very interesting strategy to force the flex pick to fall into one of the 2 lanes. It's a bit of a Schrödinger paradox, but stop the physics. Just go with the League of Legends.
SE decided to go for Aphelios Leona, what is kind of interesting for me, because picks like the Thresh are open, and normally you want to pick Aphelios and Thresh together, because Thresh grants so much more mobility to Aphelios. How do you like this rotation, 𝘀cie?
I like the Aphelios, but just like you, I would have preferred the Thresh over the Leona. They would have basically have a pretty decent bot lane going up against you already, or pretty decent bot lane yourself. I do not really like the Jhin on the side of 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀. What a huge surprise in the VCS English podcast, by the way. Either way of that, I like the Vex, because yeah, as 𝘀 said, you just thought the Aurelia to likely go towards the top lane, and also like in the Jax, so the Aurelia basically does not have a good solo lane left to be picked in, and this is very, very punishing towards SBTC. So the Aurelia early picking is not really working out for them already. It might just dive the Jhin in the teamfights anyway, but now there is a chance that 𝘀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀 just rolls over in the mid game, and then once the mid game is basically bridged over, just like last game with the 𝘁𝗀𝗆 Olaf, then 𝘁𝑎𝑠 can just take over the late game and just push over the side lane, and nobody can really do anything against it.
So Clockwork, do you expect SE to go against this probably once again strong top side of SGB and pick like two picks, the jungler and the top laner, to go for strong top side?
They surely should, especially because the 𝘀𝗫𝗀𝗀 suggests me that they don't want to have that much of a aggressive bot lane, and the Leona will probably just move around, leave the 𝘀𝗀𝗀s alone, and visit mid lane, visit top lane, play around the early game skirmishes around the Herald. This is what the Leona is for, I believe. Kind of taking a page from BTS book, which has worked pretty well. So I hope that CBL can manage to do that. Of course, the Rakan can follow, can counter that quite well. But I don't know if with the Jax they can roam, like we can match the early game skirmishes that with the Jays, also reinforcing this concept. SBTC can put up around the early heralds, early dragons, and so on.
The Lilia getting covered here on the side of SBTC, and I heard quite a lot about this jungler in the preseason patch from some Prime League junglers I know, and they all say, okay, this is a very good jungle pick. Okay, what did just happen? Anyways, this is a very good jungle pick here for in general on this patch 11.23, and I'm very excited to see this pick working or not working for SBTC. What do you think about Lilia in the current meta, 𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗀?
I think she has a place. She definitely has a niche, but it's not really here. I mean, they could have still picked the Viego. I like Lilia into tanks because the Dreamlight buff passive does so much damage to those tanks, and would be very great to also kite them around with her mobility. She gets insane movement speed. But here, I'm not really too fond of the pick, if I'm being honest. And what I do like from SBC though is that they draft 𝘀𝗀𝗀 into the they shove the 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀 into the Vex matchup, which is not as hard as the Jax matchup. And Jace against Jax would be like at least one favorable lane for them. And what I dislike from playing Buffalo is, of course, the Rakan coming into the Leona. Who are kind of self-counter-picking, but gotta say, they definitely play with a weak side bot lane there, so Jhin Rakan will just be there for the teamfight setup to enable the strong top side they just drafted yet again. And I think this is what will be the most volatile thing in this game. And if 𝘁𝗏 gets rolling into this Jax, it is definitely their game again.
So, let's quickly summarize this, because this game is so important. Whoever wins this game has a very good spot regarding playoffs. Clockwork, starting with you, who do you think will win Game 3?
I think SBTC's plan is pretty clear. They will try to play around the top lane and Emperor quite a lot. Try to favor him and skirmish, as I said, with the Leona. And worst case, they have an 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 to as a late game insurance. Of course, Leona and Hero will have to play goalkeeper for the Vex ultimate, and Saigon Buffalo, if they can find the right angles for the team fights, then they will take out this game. But as of the draft, if SBTC respect their plan, I'm going to give them the game.
Okay, 𝘀𝗀𝗃, quickly, who do you think will win?
𝘁𝗏 has Jax, they have Vex, Vex is broken, Mr. Buffalo takes Game 3.
Perfect. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, game number 3 will of course be casted by 𝘀𝗃, and you'll have a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm sure we will. As you guys have been pointing out, both drafts are explosive. Both drafts are good, and this is going to be a cracker of a game to round this one out. And who better to cast it with than your way, as we are onto Summoner's Rift. Just about. We're just waiting the last few moments to get in. I apologize. Didn't realize what transition you used your way. My bad. But this should be a fun game.
Let's actually go on the Rift, my bad. I thought we had a little bit of time to go to the caster desk, but I used Fate regardless, so sorry, Spoots, I apologize. I'm not you, I'm sorry. But yeah, this draft is
Lilia Fan Club! Lilia Fan Club rewarded.
Yeah, and we did some time warping here. I mean, Vex is still there, so maybe she time traveled. But we're back to spring meta. It's Lilia against 𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 for some reason. I'm not sure where this is coming from. I mean, 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 has been tending towards his spring meta because he's just better on those champions. He was very successful on those, so he's back to the Olaf. He played a game of 𝘀𝘀𝘀𝘀 again, so now it's 𝘁𝗻𝗃 for him, and we know 𝘀𝗀𝗃 can be a very good and successful 𝘁𝗻𝗃 player, much more of a carry champion than some of the other picks usually picked in the jungle right now, and 𝘀𝗀𝗃 coming in to provide a weak side bot lane, not a hard carry like Shogun. Could be what we're going to see. It's risky though. They need to win this game, and they're playing against 𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗶𝗴𝗀𝗀. I'd be scared.
Exactly. That's what I was about to bring up, because 𝘀𝗀𝗃 had an amazing game 1. He was, nothing special in game 2 because he was on the losing team, but he certainly wasn't the reason they lost or anything insane like that. And now he's on the 𝘀𝗀𝗃, and 𝘀𝗀𝗃 going to the Jhin, the ultimate weak side ADC. You've got to be a little bit worried if this game is slow.
Good early level 1 trades from SGB though, actually getting the priority over the 𝘀𝗀𝗃s. There's a huge debate if 𝘀𝗀𝗃's level 1 is actually good or bad. I'm still firmly on the side that 𝘀𝗀𝗃's level 1 is not the greatest because he doesn't have an ability. He does have great range, a nice sustain, so if he can auto-attack trade, he can be the better ADC. But if it's about spells, then 𝘀𝗀𝗃 is pretty bad because he doesn't actually have any spells in level 1.
Hero
Good
has the passive stacked
𝘀𝗀𝗃
doing
though.
𝘀𝗀𝗃 things, but 𝘀𝗀𝗃 wants to make it happen on the top side, but I don't think 𝘁𝗀𝗃 has his E, so they can't actually lock �ＥnPer down. He whips a fair bit of damage, but should give 𝘁𝗁𝗃 control of the lane.
And this used to be very punishing if junglers did something like this, but nowadays jungle just heals you to full HP in 2 seconds, so shouldn't be too bad for 𝘀𝗃. The counter gang from Penguin, 𝘁𝗁𝗃 jumping in.
Oh, but this is a bit of a disaster. Gets knocked away and stuns the Lilia. Not the best directed JC in the world, as the Jax will just be able to walk away.
Oh, some missteps from both junglers. Both had an opportunity to get their top laners ahead, but not the greatest showing. Wow, 𝘁𝗁𝗃. She has the red buff. She can just walk you down. Be careful there. No flash either. So 𝘁𝗁𝗃 playing with fire, but in the end, everyone just showing...
Actually, I just want to point out, that was kind of huge brain. 𝘁𝗁𝗃 buying that extra 2 seconds by moving forward onto Penguin actually got his 𝘁𝗻𝗃 the topside scuttle.
That makes a lot of sense. I didn't see that. But yeah, that's a very good shout. And there's the teleport now from 𝘀𝗀𝗃.
Yep, the big plays coming in. They want to get this mid laner rolling. They want to get this bot lane in a good position as 𝘀𝗀𝗃 goes low, gets feared. He's very, very low, and Jhin will pick up that first blood. Needs to get another shot into 𝘁𝗶𝗹 as Hero now arrives. Do they want to turn this around? It's basically a 1v3. 𝘁𝗶𝗹 cannot participate. I don't know about this one, Hero. 𝘀𝗀𝗃 is strong, but you're not at full build. You don't have your Vamp Scepter. And now you've just got to run if 𝘀𝗀𝗃 can find that last shot. Oh my word! They both get out on a sliver.
𝘀𝗀𝗃 is here to play today. 𝘀𝗀𝗃 is in shambles as he's carrying his team in the early game with roams over and over again. What an amazing 𝘀𝗃 play. Look at this. He's not actually going for 𝘁𝗶𝗹. 𝘁𝗶𝗹 is the low-hanging fruit, right? But he actually gets the E and Q on 𝘀𝗀𝗃, setting up the kill for 𝘀𝗀𝗃. Very nicely done. Also getting the crucial disengage on Hero here, as you're going to see in a second. 𝘀𝗀𝗃 lands the Q, and that's disengage enough for 𝘁𝗀𝗃 to get away. 𝘀𝗀𝗃, 𝘀𝗃. I like to see it. Not quite 𝘁𝗃 levels yet, but maybe you can get there over the course of the game. And we like to see some more 𝘀𝗃 play, because she's still so new. It's still refreshing to see her on the Rift.
Yeah.
You don't think? Fair enough. But SGB only got 1 kill of all these shenanigans.
That one game I had where I had a 𝘀𝗃 on my team that went attack speed really soured me on the champion. Wasn't great. Yeah, I love losing a game where I get 17 kills on Vi, but I lose because I don't have a mid laner. It's really cool. Anyway, my salt aside, SGB are off to a good start. They have this 700 gold lead, which is actually a little bit more than first blood, so there's lane leads as well.
I am very sorry, viewers. I forgot
you
to
didn't
put it
go
away.
back after the replay.
No, I did. Everything is all right. We are live, but I forgot to take the caster shout away. So now we're actually able to see the scoreboard. I'm very sorry, I forgot to take it away. Got too excited, carried away with the cast.
𝘁𝗁𝗃, he's gone. That's another kill for That's the first kill, I should say, picked up for SE, but they want to make
Everyone
it
is
a
here.
fight back in the mid lane. It's a 3v2 in the mid lane. 𝘁𝗀 does well at first, but CBL will pick up that kill onto the Vex. 𝘁𝗀 has to run through the Vanguard's edge. He gets his legs broken, and there are a lot to break for this horse. They're going to try and turn it around with 𝘁𝗀cie potentially getting
why?
another round of spells, but it's not in enough time as 𝘁𝗀 will survive. 𝘁𝗀cie charges forward. Alrighty, hits the long range W, but I don't think he can actually catch up.
Gigantic mistakes from SGB all across the map, overextending into the mid tower. 𝘁𝗀 hit level 6. He was a bigger threat than they thought he was. They just looked at his HP bar, which looked not so, a little anemic, but he was level 6, so he had a lot of damage under his belt. Only level 4 𝘁𝗀cie, so no way for them. Also, very good anticipating roam from CBL. He has been amazing at the map play, once again showing that he still has it as a top support player. This is very nicely done. And 𝘀𝗀cie, where did 𝘀𝗀cie's ult go?
Good question. He
He
doesn't
didn't
use it. He
use
dies
it.
before he gets
Yeah,
off.
he just dies immediately. CBL just locking him down forever. And I'm not sure why 𝘁𝗀𝗀's trying to
top
fight
lane,
this one.
top lane. Get out of the replay. We don't care. Penguin is on the run, but they have picked up the kill onto the Jace now. 𝘁𝗀 is the next target. They're both very low. Don't mess with the pony. As he might wait for his E to go back in, but no, he will just back off in the end.
And we're back to SE dominating the early game. This worked for them in the first game. They were a little bit dominating a little bit harder, I should say, but it's still a good start. They fell behind in game 2, so game 3 back to their game 1 performance. And we still have a lot of scaling on their side, especially in the bot lane. How did 𝘁𝗀 die? Probably just, using his Q aggressively.
Yep.
He is immediately dead after using his Q, so shouldn't do that.
Oh, two-man lilting lullaby as well. Well done there by Penguin, surviving. Hits the watch out easy.
A little unfortunate for Penguin to have to use the lilting lullaby, because the kill was actually secured before he used the R, or like a second before the lilting lullaby came in. Now it's down for a few seconds, but it's not the longest of cooldowns, as 𝘁𝗀cie is a squishy boy, but he's also very slippery. Nimbly dances away.
But it's a fight over the first herald. 8.5 minutes. We are here to decide the potential game, as we always are, your way. This first skirmish.
Can we get a support to level 6?
So terribly. It would be huge if 𝘁𝗀cie can hit level 6 off this last minion. He doesn't. So that
CBL.
is such as CBL potentially has 3. Let's see if he gets to 6. We'll keep an eye on that. See if his ult lights up. No, it doesn't. So both supports are level 5. And it looks like SGB just has full control. SE capitulating the first part of this positioning.
As they should. 𝘁𝗀𝗀 ult available. Lilia ult is not available. I think they should concede this objective. It's very dangerous to fight, but CBL wants to go in.
Yeah, CBL is going to dive in. The 𝘁𝗀𝗀 ult, as you pointed out, gets so much value. It immediately breaks the legs of 𝘁𝗶𝗶, but the kills are coming back in. 𝘀𝗀𝗆 has picked up 1, and now it's a party for SE as each of their laners gets 1.
And not enough cover for 𝘀𝗀𝗆 to really pop off. 𝘀𝗀𝗆 in the front line, he's not tanky enough to make this work. He just goes down immediately. Perfect weapon setup as well for his celebrity. He gets to stack up all the chakrams. He also dodges. Very nice dodge. Sidesteps the 𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗆 ult there. And then 𝘀𝗀𝗆 just insta-dies. The bot lane runs away. Can't really participate in the fight. And suddenly SE secures 7-2 kill lead. This should be another 2 platings, so off to almost 3k gold lead at 10 minutes.
Yeah, and this gets 𝘀𝗀𝗆's accelerated as well. He was doing fine in the bot lane, obviously was just going even with the Jhin, but, you know, if you get him a couple of kills, a couple of platings, suddenly, you know, look like we're going to advance a couple of centuries here in this game, as he is on the line well and truly, and 𝘀elebrity is a fantastic player to pilot it well.
Where did the Herald
Your
go?
way?
I think SGB still picked the Herald up, so
They did.
yeah. So at least they can get something back into their own pockets. Playing from behind the Heralds is not why. Usually I'm going to amount to much.
Okay. 650 gold. by the way.
𝘀𝗀𝗆 just throwing away his gold for no apparent reason.
𝘀𝗀𝗆 haters rebuilt the shambles. They've
Yes.
risen into
Oh,
full
yes.
swarm. Oh, up on the top side, 𝘁𝗀𝗆 will go down. That's a shutdown over to 𝘁𝗀𝗆.
Nicely done. Finally, 𝘁𝗀𝗆 making his presence known but he's going for a tank build instead of going for a more aggressive carry-oriented build. So all the carry on is on his solo laners, because 𝘀cie is playing a weak side AD carry. He can contribute quite a lot of damage in CC in fights, but the heavy lifting, I should say, has to come from the solo laners, and both of them are very far behind. 𝘀cie, after an amazing Jax game in Game 2, now 0-3 behind, or even in CS, not really looking to be the main carry of the game. So SGB, definitely in a power trough, they need to find a way back.
It makes a lot of sense. It doesn't need to be the main carry if this comp works out and 𝘀cie gets rolling, but it's not happening in this game. The Jax is nowhere near as strong as he was in game number 2, where he pretty much just 1v9'd. 𝘀cie cleans up the wave here. This Vex, despite some interesting movement, is still in a reasonable position. Needs to get towards an item, though. Doesn't even have the last chapter yet.
She's very far behind item curve. She's not going to be useful for a very long time. And after the initial great play in the bot lane, 𝘀cie has really failed to do anything.
By the way, I think 7 plates on the 𝘀𝗿𝗀. His husband is gone.
Penguin looking very good on this champion. We are very happy to see a little bit of 𝘁𝗍 play, because, of course, president and chairman of the 𝘁𝗍 fan club here reporting in.
Yeah, I mean, we always do love it. I'm not 100% impressed with it. He didn't need to press the ultimate there either. It doesn't actually add any damage.
Oh,
whatever, it doesn't
this
matter.
is
And they get a kill in the mid lane. Okay, we'll have to get a replay to see how that happened. 𝘀𝗀's just TPing back to catch the wave. And how did they get
No,
the kill in the
𝘀𝗀,
mid lane?
get to the tower. You need the gold. 𝘀𝗀, come on.
Nope.
Ah.
Yeah, he probably should have tried to soak some of that up instead of letting it all go onto the 𝘁𝗀𝗋. But they are going to move over, secure themselves a dragon as well. But just like last game, the first dragon being picked up at 13 minutes tells me that Soul's not going to happen.
Yeah, big change of pace and the way people have been playing the preseason so far in the VCS, especially someone like 𝘀𝗀. 𝘀𝗀 has been insanely focused on the bot side of the Rift and the Dragon. They've been Dragon stacking in every single game. They have the highest Dragon percentage and the lowest Herald percentage. So some of our very good teams acknowledging the fact that Dragons are super strong right now. But these two teams don't seem to be faced by the Dragon objective too much. Maybe anticipating another boring old Rift. We might go to a new one, who knows. But it's only one Dragon at 30 minutes, so it's gonna take a while. To be fair, SGB has the longest game time in the league, so they might still get there. And at this point in the game, they hope they get there, because they are very far behind. 0-4 Jax. He needs some time. He needs time to collect his little minion friends. They're going to help him scale into the late game.
We'll have to see if it can actually happen. 𝘁𝗍 up here covering 𝘀𝗀 off, trying to get this Jax back into it, as he is down pretty badly at the moment. The Eclipse is already completed for 𝘁𝗀𝗋. Of course, nothing on the same level here. BenJ has been spotted out. They'll have to back this one off. 𝘀𝗀 has to run.
And both junglers running.
Something we actually haven't commented on. 𝘀𝗀 is Grasp of the Undying this game.
Yeah, it's probably due to the matchup. Can't really stack up the lethal tempo too easily. And credit to him, he's even in CS, so he knows his matchups there. He knows how to play the laning phase and not fall far behind. And in the end, Jax has attack speed on his passive as well. I'm always curious if it's really that valuable to just go for the laning rune, considering the actual stats you get from lethal tempo is probably worth a whole item, so maybe you just sack your laning phase. But 𝘀𝗀 disagrees, and as I said before, yeah, he's even in CS even after 0-4, so he's playing well for his own part. He just needs to stop dying.
I mean, wow. It's some incisive analysis. 𝘀𝗀 would be great if he just stopped dying. I do agree. No, I am just teasing. I know what you mean. As continues to scale up, Penguin will be able to pick up this Rift Herald pretty much uncontested. It would be pretty foolish for SGB to go in and die over something as meaningless as a second Rift Herald, but it is decent banked tempo there for SE as this game keeps on rolling.
We have two Shattered Queens bestowing some crowns on our AP champions here. Interesting choice for Penguin. Haven't seen much 𝘁𝗍𝗀, so I'm not sure if that's the preferred choice, but it seems...
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, 𝘁𝗍𝗀 can build a lot of different items, so... Yeah,
like, this is still 11-20. I mean, it's 11:23 on live. The nerfs have been announced for Shattered Queen, but obviously they're not live yet. They're not on the tournament realm yet. So yeah, it's just a really strong item. It stops you getting blown up by Vex theoretically.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Jax as
I
well.
like it.
Might be able to give you some time to get some stacks on the Jax and run amok on him, but yeah, still cool to see. We haven't seen much 𝘀cie, so just learning while watching the games. On the other side, of course, 𝘀𝘀 building his first item is huge, because now he can just stand up to Hero all the time. Hero basically has no kill pressure on him anymore, as we see them trying to make a move on 𝘀𝘀, and the second Herald coming in the mid lane. I would really like to see the mid lane. Thank you.
Yep, there we go. This Herald should break the tower, just about. Yep, there we go. The mid lane opens itself up for SE. They're in a position where, yeah, it's affording them a lot of space. We are a little bit away from a dragon. We might finally get your Chemtech Rift your way.
Yes.
We don't know what the next dragon's going to be. I think it was a mountain from memory, but I'm not 100% sure. We don't see it on screen at the moment.
And they're making moves to punish 𝘀𝘀 in the top lane. 𝘀𝘀, someone prone to dying as well, but we might have a big scuffle.
Yeah, 𝘀𝘀's in a lot of trouble. He'll go down immediately to 𝘀𝘀, but look at the damage being traded back. 𝘁𝘀 has to find a way out of this, and Penguin now joining the fray. BJ, he's extremely low. There's the sleep coming in. Vex has fallen, but Irelia will join her in the Shadow Realm. 𝘁𝘀 playing with fire, and he does get burned, but the Inferno spreads over to Penguin, and Ariadne picks the kill up.
Really nicely done by 𝘁𝘀, getting the CC on Penguin, who would have been able to just walk away with a 500 movement speed. The gank setup is risky because BJ is already half HP, and then the teleports come in, but in the end they get the kill. Look at this very good sidestep against the Swell Seed. Ooh, 𝘀𝘀 showing his hands off again. He's such a good support player, just dodging away from that crucial CC spell, and 𝘂𝗶𝗹 is just too late to the party to make any kind of influence or difference. A lot of the kills over to Ariadne, which isn't terrible, but it's also not the target you wanted the kills on. Jax didn't get a single one, which is really unfortunate. You have BJ collecting another one. He's going into more of a bruiser-ish style of build, just wanting to go for the one tank item to get the movement speed. So we are truly back in the start of this year, where everyone was just building Chemtech, Hecarim. Yeah, hey.
Hey, your way. It's all right. Eventually, you'll get to cast Rathar, and then you get the 𝘀𝘀 back. Isn't it just the greatest of times? No, please don't. But anyway, let's keep focused on these games. We don't have to think about Rebel's favorite player. As despite that win for SGB in the top side, they're still down 3k gold.
But only 3k now, so that is at least comebackable.
And it's going to try and close that gap even more as they collapse on 𝘀𝘀, but 𝘂𝗶𝗹 with a lovely Leona ult is going to shut them down. Celebrity's in the region, but they don't want to actually take this fight.
SGB overcommitting to punishing 𝘀𝘀 and giving over dragon priority to
Where are we going?
Side.
Are you finally getting your 𝘀𝘀cie Rift? No! Hextech.
Hextech is nice as well. I like to see some more gate plays. Always,
True, I do like the gates.
Always fun to watch people just bypassing the normal ways of the Rift. Hextech Soul isn't the most exciting. We saw one yesterday, I believe. Didn't really do much, but it's still cool to see. A little bit more data. Unfortunately, the VCS right now doesn't provide us with stats for the fights, which is something I would really like to see in some of those fights, to see how much damage the tanks dealt with the Soul, but we can't get it for the teamfight damage breakdown right now. But we just have to assume what's going on.
Yeah.
In the meantime,
we're pretty good at reading it.
SE is scaling up nicely as well, and even though 𝘀𝘀 has been target of a lot of the ganks, he's still 3-2, 2 items completed, almost getting to his transition to the Miramara as well. We have a strong setup for Celebrity, a decent setup for Penguin, so they are getting stronger and stronger, and the team, or these 5 players together, have been pretty bad at team fighting in the mid game, but their champions are great at it. So let's see which of the 2 actually holds true in this game.
And 𝘀𝘀 is running away. He's lit up at the moment, has to dodge the Jhin ult while still fighting. 𝘁𝘀 takes out that kill.
Celebrity.
So SGB, they never say die. On the other side of the fight, yeah, Celebrity is in a bit of trouble here. Has to weave his way out with the Vex ult landing. There's no hope of that. That's a shutdown going over to 𝘀𝘀. And SGB still bearing down on 𝘂𝗶𝗹, but he is tanky enough to walk on away. Penguin being an excellent distraction here. 𝘀𝗀𝗆 actually altered to clear the wave. Interesting decision. Might have wanted to use it in this actual fight. As 𝘂𝗀𝗆 now bearing down on them. Alrighty, he'll have his 4th shot. There it is. It's a lot of damage combined with the Gale Force. Does a perfectly timed W to get it, to lock 𝘂𝗀𝗆 down for just a moment, but it's not going to be long enough to save the Vex. A knockup goes onto him, but now the Sterix pops, and 𝘀𝗀𝗆 is life-stealing. Moving forward, finally, he has to get out of there as another teleport is committed, but they don't want to say no to the fight as 𝘁𝗲𝗺 jumps forward. Why didn't 𝘁𝗺 go with him? Why didn't 𝘁𝗺 go with him?
Round and round and round it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. This teamfight has been going on forever. Wow, but SGB, this is the SGB we love to see. They are always proactive, always looking for plays. 𝘁𝗺 finally on a champion he's confident on and making so many plays happen. 𝘁𝗀𝗆 and 𝘁𝗺 together. Huge misplays from 𝘀𝗀𝗆 and some of the other members as well. Why is 𝘀𝗀𝗆 walking back towards 𝘁𝗁 here and giving him the free shutdown? Makes no sense whatsoever. He could have bought so much more time for 𝘀𝗀𝗆 to group up with him. And I really like this collapse. We're not seeing
this whole replay. Oh, never mind, we might.
This collapse is really nice from 𝘀𝗀𝗆 as well. Just getting the insta-kill, even though the exhaust was used. But we have another one on our hands.
That we do, as 𝘀𝗀𝗆 is being dove on. He buys a lot of time with that 𝘂𝗏 ult, but it's not going to be enough for him to actually participate in the fight as they're trying to bear down on him. I'm staring at this 𝘀𝗆𝗆os. He manages to live your way. He can still contribute to this fight as they're putting so many resources into him. But on the other side, it is a lot being used and a lot going down as 3 members of SE have fallen for just 𝘁𝗺 in exchange. 𝘁𝗆, why did you step up?
It's a show of mechanics in this game. It's pure chaos, but everyone just...
They're going to fight this.
What is happening?
𝘀𝗀𝗆 doesn't have his ult. There's the sleep coming out from 𝘁𝗀𝗆, but too late for 𝑀PA to actually take anything out of this fight. Penguin rushing forward. He wants to just get 𝘀𝗀𝗆, but he'll get nothing.
And Penguin, you can just walk away. We are the fastest champion in the game. Just walk away from plays. You don't have to die every single time. 𝘀𝗀𝗆 hitting a very nice engage once again, setting up this dive on 𝘀𝗀𝗆. And I have to say, the more I look at Vex against 𝘀𝗆𝗆s, the more I think Vex is the one champion that can actually get 𝘀𝗀𝗆s low, even through shield bow and everything else. It seems like 𝘀𝗀𝗆s really struggled to fight against him. 𝘁𝗀𝗆 buying so much time. Amazing play at the start of the fight from 𝘁𝗀𝗆. 𝘀𝗀𝗆 wise to not take that journey into his own death. And this one wasn't the greatest from 𝘁𝗀𝗆. He doesn't know that 𝘀𝗀𝗆 is there. He wanted to use the Hex Gate. It's tempting. It's so cool. You just want to port back to your own base and then you're dead. That's unfortunate. But still, overall, SGB revitalized, getting back into the groove of things and finally back into the lead in terms of gold as well.
And 𝘂𝗀𝗆, after watching Game 1, of course this is how Game 3 was going to go. Game 2, just an aberration, a kink in the road. We had to get our full combat, full fiesta games here between SE and SGB, as CBL will be the next one to fall victim to the clown show as he falls down. The 𝘂𝗆𝗆 ultimate is used. It's perfect there from 𝘁𝗺. 𝘀𝗀𝗆 tags up the 𝘂𝗆𝗆s as well. Is he going to jump in and actually get the damage done? They get 1 kill back, but we can't falling. 𝘀𝗀𝗆 having to go gold. Hero can get it all done here 𝘂𝗀𝗆. This 𝘂𝗀𝗆𝗆, remember the 𝘀𝗍𝗍 as he'll pick up the kill onto the Vex, and everything looked so good for SGB, but now it's an absolute disaster as 𝘂𝗀𝗆𝗆 has to reload, flashes the shock blast. 𝘁𝗁𝗆 splits off from him, so they have to pick who they want. Hex skating out of there. I don't care about 𝘂𝗀𝗆𝗆. Show me the jacks.
Oh, it's still pure chaos. But this time around, the dive is not sufficient at killing 𝘀𝗀𝗆. It's only 𝘀𝗀𝗆, and I thought Vex was enough, but she's not quite strong enough. This time, 𝘀𝗀𝗆 actually stays alive and is able to stack up the chakrams. Very good fight from Hero, as he pointed out on cast. Let's look at it again. This is how it started for another engage found by the side of SGB, and they could have disengaged after this initial kill, but this is the VCS, we never disengage. 𝘁𝗆𝗆 and 𝘀𝗀𝗆 on top of 𝘀𝗀𝗆, but they just don't have the damage to finish off the kill. If it's not on the tower, I think SGB smashed the fight, because 𝘁𝗁𝗆 can follow up, 𝘁𝗀𝗆 can step up, but this way, they burn too many resources on the dive on 𝘀𝗀𝗆, and he's still in the fight, so they all have to walk back. They still get 2 players out of the fight, but they give up the Hextech Drake, so a little bit of a snowball started for SPTC. And the game is 16 to 17 kills at 25 minutes, 46k gold to 46k gold. We are in for a long one.
It genuinely, when you said it was 26 minutes, I thought they must have broken the timer. I was like, there's no way. We're at least 30 minutes in. No, we are not. This is just the VCS, and we love to accelerate, give it some gas. as Baron still looms the one real objective on the map that the teams want to fight around. But so far, no one really making a move on it.
And we need to check items, because 𝘁𝗃 is probably getting some nice spikes under his belt. He was so far behind, but now he's level 15. Yeah, there we go. 4 kills collected in the last 2 fights. Almost 3 items now. So this is getting to the territory of the second game. He might still be able to redeem himself for the early parts of this game by split pushing everything to death. He's a huge threat now. And I'm also keeping my eyes on hero reduction to deal with hero. It's only 1 Oblivion orb so far. Might not be enough, especially considering 𝘀𝗀𝗆 is mostly focused on the backline. So I'd like to see additional hero reduction picked up. Maybe with 𝘁𝗀𝗆 even. 𝘁𝗀𝗆.
Yeah, I think it would definitely help. 𝘁𝗀𝗆, he's okay. He gets back to base. SE will move in, get vision dominance over the Baron.
Oh, look at 𝘁𝗆's positioning. Look at 𝘁𝗆's positioning.
Oh, the lurk is there. 𝘁𝗃 gets chunked.
They pinged the
and
teleport.
𝘁𝗃 will just slip away.
But they're not going to commit for it. They pinged, all of them pinged on that pink ward to... 𝘀𝗀𝗆, stop using stopwatch. What is happening?
He just likes it. It's all gold every day, mate. He just likes to see the stacks on stacks, you know?
I thought 𝘁𝗃 liked only black clothes, but apparently she likes to dress up golden today.
Oh, it's look, just trying out something new. It is a very that. Thankfully,
Silly.
It doesn't matter as much when it is the Zhonya's. It should be up before it's relevant, but something to critique 𝘀𝗀𝗆 for sure, as well as, you know, he's a mid laner coming up on 28 minutes with 180 farm. Not the best.
Still 3 items though, so even though he's very far behind in farm and experience as well, consequently, he's still in a decent position to make something happen in team fights. But look at 𝘀𝗀𝗆. We haven't actually talked about 𝘀𝗀𝗆 much, but he's 6-0-4. Amazing KDA, and he's getting stronger and stronger as well. If you get to 4 items on Jhin, suddenly you can actually be one of the main carries. Still don't think you'd be as impactful as a 4-item 𝘁𝗀𝗆s on the other side, but...
Starting the Baron on vision. Oh no, that's like, never mind, there's a control ward in the pit. That's not actually...
But they still know. It's so obvious.
Yeah. I know, but still, it's not as obvious. And they do back off. It was just maybe a bit of a damage check. They didn't like what they were seeing. They're going to go get more gear. I want to see an 𝘁𝗆𝗆s IE before I see a fight out of SE.
That's a very good shout.
I want this Moon Boy. I think he's about to back and buy it.
And on the other side, I want to see a little bit more heal reduction, if we can. I mean, it's a finished Ronaldo, so it's a little bit better now for SGB to deal with hero. They need to make sure to actually get the hero reduction onto hero, though, because he's 3 items into the game as well, and he's gonna be a menace if no one shuts him down early in the fight. Usually, Irelia right now, not the greatest late-game team fighting champion, but if she's undisturbed, if she can stack up her passive and just auto-attack for free all the time, with lethal tempo added on top of that, then she's going to hurt a lot. So, you need to deal with her.
They certainly do. The matter is, of course, how they deal with her, because it's not going to be easy. The dance continues. Both teams just wanting to secure vision. 𝘁𝗁𝗃, very, very strong on this Jax. He's able to side lane, but this time they have someone who can stop him. Hero, I don't know who would win in a full engage 1v1, but Hero is at least strong enough to constantly clear waves. His Jax can't solo win the game.
Yeah, and this is another reason why I would like to see more hero reduction spread through the team, because, for example, if 𝘁𝗁𝗃 picks something up, he can suddenly threaten the 1v1, because Jax inherently has an advantage against Irelia, and if he adds a little bit of hero reduction, even though he's behind in CS, well, he just picks up the dragon. That confused me for a second there. It's just the dragon, though, and they are in time. There's a teleport on 𝘁𝗁𝗃. No decent flank wards, though, so... easy disengage from SE. They don't care too much about the dragon. Celebrity, don't step into that portal. That could spell your death. Careful
accidental right clicks. What gun combination are we looking for? You're a bit of an 𝘁𝗆𝗆s expert yourself. He's got green-white at the moment. Is he happy for that if a team fight breaks out?
So a little bit, it depends a little bit on the setup. We saw him be very successful with white and purple early on. This one is pretty good to take Baron, but he wants to circle to red.
Baron's getting burst. I don't know if SGB gets here in time. 𝘀𝗀 is certainly close enough to go for a steal, but he won't get it. The 𝘀𝗀cie is that one. Not a great Leona ultimate being used onto the golden 𝘀𝗀.
the stun!
Now the fight is kicking off your way, and look at this. SGB are doing so well. There's a lot of stun being done. Hero on the side is
Froggy!
bearing down on Oriety, and they're all burning away. Moon Boy is fully activated until he picks up one. Hero picks up one on the other side. He's just got to deal with this. Jax surfs away, but the counter-strike will land. 1v1. Who wins? Bonkor Blade as 𝘁𝗲𝗄 bearing down. He's low. He's got another counter-strike, but the golden time saves their lives, and it's an ace for SE.
30 seconds on Oriety, 30 seconds on Froggy. Same timing on 𝘀𝗀 might be game. They can push. They have very, very strong push. 3 attack speed champions with a lot of AD to work with. I think it's over. I think SBTC have won the series.
Yeah, they're just going to walk in. They are going to take the series. 𝘁𝗏𝗏, I mean, he could try and clear the waves, but it's Baron minions. A Rakan just simply cannot do it. 𝘀𝗀 is not going to spawn in any time to actually prevent this. And SBTC, they took 2 games that were not the prettiest. They were incredibly fun, though. The super big time chickens will come out victorious 2-1.
What a turn of events. SGB lose the series and now move to 4-5. Same score, actually, as their opponents today, but now they're 0-2 against SPTC, which means SPTC Esports move ahead of them into the playoff position. A lot of us projected them to be the 4th team coming into the split, but not ahead of SGB. We thought SGB was a shoe-in for playoffs. Now they're in a precarious spot, and they need to pick up some wins against the run of play, against Cerberus, maybe against 𝘀𝗀. They need something to work for them, because now this can really break them out of players. SGB throw away a lot of their early advantages, but SPTC also coming together in a way that I didn't expect them to come together. Hero looking strong on the Irelia, and many great performances, especially from the bot lane side. 𝘀𝗀𝗋 also recovering from a bad game 2 to put in a lot of work into game 3. Wow, SPTC 2-1.
And let's get our analyst thoughts. Take it away, guys.
What a storyline it was. Game 1, SBTC stomped. Game 2, the counter-strike from 𝘀𝗀𝗏𝗀. And game 3, the hammer is swung back to SBTC.
Active. Jayce swings his hammer at the target enemy, dealing magic damage, capped against monsters, while also pulling them to a location 500 units in front of him. It was basically explaining the whole game 3, and the Jax counter picking the top lane for SPTC worked wonders. Of course, Penguin also contributed to this success, but keeping 𝘀𝗏𝗏 at bay in the early game was stellar. And making sure, like on top of this, what surprised me from SBTC was that not only they stemmed the Jax menace, but they also managed to allocate a lot of resources onto Celebrity's Aphelios during the whole time. I think 𝘀𝗏 noted at some point that the AD carry for SBTC had 7 plates on him at the end of the 14-minute mark, so he was very much ahead of the curve, and eventually he proved to be the one thing that ultimately clinched these late-game teamfights in favor of the chicken, which now are one step closer to the playoffs.
It was actually pretty interesting how SPTC managed to get the Jayce ahead, or get the Jayce rolling against this Jax, what was pretty important for them in order to destroy the game plan of 𝘀𝗏𝗏𝗏. But on the other hand, they also managed, as you said, to bring Celebrity ahead over those with those turret platings and stuff. Another thing I want to mention is the pathing from Penguin. I really like that he was always able to counter gank the lanes. The jungler of 𝘀𝗏𝗏𝗏 wanted to gank. Penguin was definitely a player to watch, I guess, as well, 𝘀𝗀𝗏𝗏, right?
Yeah, he certainly was. I mean, I wasn't really convinced by the Lilia pick initially. Still not but I guess I see the point of using 𝘀𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏, abusing this overpowered item to use it onto a champion like the Lilia, who has to dive in, who has to still survive for some seconds, and can make great usage of this item where you get some damage reduction a few seconds in, as soon as you take damage in a teamfight, which also makes Lilia hard to focus down, and it's also something that played a huge part in these teamfights, where also the 𝘁𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗏, he did his share workload, I would say, on the side of 𝘁𝗀𝗀. But I mean, SPTC had a better team fight comp. They abused the Jax in the early game, and while 𝘀𝗀𝗀, I gotta give him a lot of credit, by the way, because he was weak side and still went 6-0 on the Jhin. Sadly, he picked the Jhin, so he couldn't really carry the game at the end of the day. But he played fair in his own right. But SPTC, they knew how. Once the Jax got 3 items, they had to force team fights. They went for the Baron, got the Baron flip going on for them, and then just 𝘀𝗀𝗀 took over with his failures. And all credit to them. They played a very great game, and also he won the Irelia. They first picked Irelia, which is a little bit illegal, but there was no clear answer from 𝘀𝗰𝗵𝗋𝗀 to that, and this is also one of the things why SPTC deservedly took the series. And like this, they are now tied again against them and have the head-to-head 2-0. So 𝘀𝗰𝗵𝗋𝗀 has some work to do.
That's definitely a good point I want to mention as well. SPTC, they are now in the better spot for playoffs. If we think about the best scenario for them, they do have it in their own hands. They can secure playoffs all by themselves because they've won the duel, both of the duels against 𝘀𝗰𝗵𝗋𝗀. So 𝘀𝗰𝗵𝗋𝗀, they need to hope that SPTC will drop one game more compared to them. Clockwork.
Indeed, and I'm just looking at next week's matches, and they both have winnable matches, both Buffalo and SPTC. I mean, Buffalo has just won question mark, which is against 𝘀𝗀𝗋. They are also looking quite not improving as fast as the other team, let's say. So Buffalo, despite this very tough loss, it's not over for them. They're 4-5. They're still 6, I believe, series. Or wait, 14 games in total, 9 played, so 5 series missing. Their future is still in their hands. Of course, this was a win that could have put them in a much more comfortable spot, but alas, it's not like that. So the playoff race keeps going, and now the chicken run are outpacing them.
So 𝘀𝗀𝗀, I know you don't want to talk about it, but we have to talk about that because before we jumped into the game, you said, okay, 𝘀𝗰𝗵𝗋𝗀, they are probably better, even better than 𝘀𝗀𝗋. Today they lost against SPTC and they are in a not the best spot for the playoff race. Do you still believe in your boys?
That's actually a very good question because I kind of had to eat my words that I made initially ahead of the series, and the Buffalo kind of let me down this time. It is a tough call because it just depends a little bit on the remaining schedule if they can still even make playoffs. I gotta say, yes, actually, I think they are better than 𝘀𝗀𝗋𝗀, but I'm not really convinced if there's any team really ahead of this ballpark of potentially, I would say, 4 teams that fight for the 2 remaining playoff spots behind the clear top 2 contenders in 𝘀𝗀𝗋 Esports and Cerberus.
And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, that's it from the first series of the day. SPTC took away a big win when we look to the playoff race. They are in a good spot to secure maybe the last playoff race. It will be definitely very tensionful in the last weeks, in the next week and the week after that. So we will head into a short break. Thanks to 𝘀𝗀𝗀, you will leave us, sadly. I'm very sad about that, but he has some work to do. And yeah, after that, I guess Rebel will replace you. It's of course a banger replacement, but that's what you expect from VCS English stream. We will head into a short 25 to 30 minutes break, and after that we will see us with a pre-show for game number 2, Cerberus Esports versus Team Secret. Stay tuned.